All right, guys. So Nvda is pushing over highs right now, ripping over highs. We'll see if it continues to move. Look at Nvda at 770s right now. The Nasdaq is at 17.9 thousand. So crazy gains here. I'm up early this morning, guys. I'm trying here. I streamed for like 10 hours yesterday. We are back today. We're doing our best to cover all this stuff, but man, let's get started. Let me know if you think Nvidia is going to keep breaking highs today. I think it kind of has to, right? I mean, it doesn't have to. Nothing has to happen. But Nvidia up to 770s right now. Previous highs prior to today were at 746 right here. This light blue line prior to pre-market this morning was the previous high of the day, lifetime highs. Nasdaq is up as well. We can put probably the Q up instead of this. But yeah, jobless claims also released at 8:30 this morning. So we also have jobless claims, unemployment filings coming out today. That's a big release as well. All right. What's up, T-City? T-City, huh? Does it stand for Triangle City or something else? I know Brian Ortega, T-City, but... What's up, Rami? What's up, Camp? What's up, Danny? Raiz, Mac, Sam, Jay, K, James, Obsessed, Trader, Shah, Carmen. Finally awake when this show streams live. I mean, I'm up pretty early. I'm in Texas right now. It is 5:30 in the morning here in Texas time. Stands for Torrance. Okay. Yeah, I'm going by, like, I don't know if you know the MMA fighter Brian Ortega. His nickname is T-City. It's because he triangle chokes everybody. That's what I was thinking of. Smash that like button. Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, we're coming off the heels of yesterday, which was our largest stream ever. We got like almost 100,000 views yesterday. We had over 13,000 people here watching live. Really fun stream to do, man. Although the chat was chaos. And then today, post Nvidia earnings. Yeah, we had like almost 14,000 people, concurrent viewers, so like simultaneous viewers. Got like, in the end, we got like 85,000. Market at all-time highs, but GameStop and AMC staying still. I was listening to you live yesterday post-market while fishing. Hopefully you called something, brother. Yeah, my son's good, Rami. I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, Texas and Chicago. Really, it's called Chicago time. Like, when I look up the time, it's called Chicago time. Nvidia streaming your channel almost crashed. Yeah, we had so many people here. It was fun, man. They said Google was putting my video up #1. We did have more viewers than Yahoo Finance, which is a, you know, certainly a W, I would think. And like I said yesterday, it really goes to show that telling people you have no idea what you're talking about and are wildly wrong about everything you say really is the recipe for growth on YouTube. So I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, look, I think we got to look at their PE ratio has gotten better, right? Like, I think what a lot of people are realizing, I think prior to this, including me to a certain extent, I think a lot of people were skeptical of Nvidia. I think a lot of people were skeptical. because of such a massive boost in share price. You know, such a massive increase in share price. I think a lot of people were skeptical, but what I think people are seeing now, like if we include yesterday's PE ratio on this, it's going to be over 5, so 3, 4, 5. So this would be, it's truly exponential growth, like 3, 4, 5, 5 something. What was the actual report? Let me look. So Nvidia had 516 adjusted EPS, right? So this would really be 3, 4, 5. Nvidia, the next graph line here would be like that. So just to show you Nvidia's massive benefits from AI, a lot of people are saying, oh, Nvidia's price is too high relative to how much it brings in. It's a bubble. It's too high up. It's not really making money like that. AI is not really benefiting its bottom line like that. All that stuff they're saying. But I think this kind of begs to differ. I think this kind of shows potentially the opposite. I think Nvidia is bringing in, their margins have gotten so much better, and their revenue has gotten so much better since AI became a thing. It's hard to ignore. You know, it's hard to ignore. Hey, what's up, Mac? Yeah, I did go buy Frankie's candles. He came by my stream. And so he's cool. Super high energy, you know. Sometimes I wish I could have that much energy. But yeah, good dude. Seems like a good dude. Good channel. Hey, nice Paulo. Yeah, 773s. So yeah, honestly, it's all good, man. I'm excited for it. We'll see if it continues. Of course. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Chaos. But the other thing to look at is revenue, I think, here, right? So I think we have to look at revenue. Revenue for Nvidia yesterday came in at 22.1 billion. So the revenue wasn't as exponential looking as EPS, which is margins. Revenue is kind of the ceiling, almost the easiest way to describe it. But revenue did come in noticeably higher than expected. I mean, like, let's get rid of this and get rid of this one. All right, so 15, 20. So yeah, the revenue showed up here. It showed up at again 22 actually. So it showed up higher. 15, 20 is here. So it showed up about right here. So revenue increased drastically from Nvidia as well. It's just massive benefits. The PE rate, it's still like PE wise, like just to be objective and honest about it, PE wise, it's still a little high. But that doesn't necessarily, that's not the end all be all. Amazon notoriously had a PE ratio in the 60s and 70s for a year plus and still did crazy big returns that it's held most of its gains from. You know, Amazon up to 171, or Amazon up to 171, 175 at its highs this year. Started the year off at $88, and even still at $100, $110 with the high PE ratio, Amazon ripped up to 180s. And so PE is not the end all be all. It's a good understanding, and the PE ratio did get benefited. So I think it's now like 60 or 55. So PE ratio is doing better for Nvidia as well. Nvidia won't be able to sustain that growth. There's a finite number of customers. Well, yeah, no company is going to be able to sustain this type of growth forever. But, you know, when's it gonna, it depends on when it stops. It really does. Like right now, again, the revenue and EPS are showing that it's a little bit more justified than people thought prior to this. So, you know, it depends on what. If revenue continues to show up like this, which is certainly possible. Again, I think AI really is that thing. Now, this does, again, I'm going to be honest as well, though, this does mirror 2000. You know, in 2000, the internet, or in the mid-90s, the internet came out. A bunch of companies started IPOing based off of, it was called the dot-com boom. A bunch of companies started IPOing, and eventually a lot of them failed. And it caused one of the longest term market corrections or crashes that we've had, that we had in like a century. One of the longer term ones, the 2000 crash. And again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just putting all the possibilities out there. You know, we can look at the Nasdaq here, I guess, as an easy example. The .com crash was here. You could see it, the boom and bust on the Nasdaq here. So the .com crash happened and ripped up. You know, everything with .com at the end of it was getting crazy high valuations relative to convention, and eventually the bubble burst in 2000. It's called the .com boom and bust. The bubble burst in 2000, and it took years for the market to get back to where it was. You know, here's the Q. The Q was at 120 at the peak of the .com boom. The Q didn't see 120 again until 2016. So the Nasdaq specifically, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. So the Nasdaq didn't see 120 again until 2016. It took 16 years for the Nasdaq to eventually come back. Now the S&P was a little bit more resilient, and I think that's probably the better way to look at it. Nasdaq is really tech heavy, so it's going to be a more magnifying bearish period since it's mostly tech that was failing, right? And which shows the value of diversification regardless of anything. Diversification is important. With the S&P 500, it was a little bit less severe. The peak being about 1500, and it didn't hit 1500, that peak again, until 2007, 2008, when ironically we crashed back down again. You know, people talk about how bad the 2008 disaster was, and it mostly affected real estate more than anybody else, but all that was is this. You know, this was back within 3 years, business as normal, pumping up. You know, and so yeah, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. I think AI could really be that thing, and I think I'm seeing a little bit less crazy valuations in AI companies, and this one's more centralized to Nvda. But I think Nvda, considering crypto, considering AI, really could be that thing, and I think its bottom line is showing that. Yeah, 100% Polo. I don't know if it's gonna be. It's definitely not. I don't know if it's gonna be bigger than the internet. I think it could be. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on development, which I think is ironically going to be benefited from AI. I think AI is going to benefit AI development. And remember, we do have jobless claims, unemployment filings today. I think we have some other metrics. Yeah, I'm a bull on Nvidia. I want it to go up. I hope it goes up. So don't think I'm like talking about Nvidia not going up. I want it to go up. I hope it goes up. And so we'll see if it does. You know, it has so far, at least. It's up to 770s. Let's see if it can break 1,000. Where's Super Micro Semiconductors as well? Let me see. Super Micro at 840s, all the way back up. So hey, I'm happy for it. This helped the market for sure. S&P all-time highs again. Yeah, SPY up to 504.50. 504.49 is the new all-time high. It's technically not the all-time high, though. So for the SPY to be all-time highs, it needs to do it during market hours. Pre-market, anything can happen. So it's only labeled all-time highs once it hits market hours after 9:30. So if it can hold this spot and break highs again at the opening bell, then it's technically all-time highs. Until it does that, it's still over previous all-time highs, but it's not forming new ones, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's going to break $1,000 today. Maybe. It depends on how volatile it gets at the opening bell. But I'm certainly not saying that's going to happen. I hope it does, but I'm not saying it will. I don't know. I doubt it, personally. But I hope it happens. think it closes around 746. Maybe. Yeah, and the crazy thing is just the benefit of revenue here. Now, we could look at some other companies like Supermicro and see what they're looking like. This is Supermicro Semiconductors. You know, say what you want, but their revenue is getting up there. Supermicro revenue is getting up there. Now, they're a much smaller float company, and so people might not understand the dynamic between float size and share price. But they're a much smaller float company, meaning there's less shares out there. If you want to see the value or the market cap of the company, you multiply the share price by the amount of shares that are out there, the float. Supermicro, a much smaller company, even though its current price is what, 800 and something. Much smaller company because the float is like 50 million. But even its revenue has increased dramatically, at least over the last quarter. So I wonder what their EPS looks like. Yeah, so here's their margins, their EPS. Supermicro's had good EPS as well, so interesting. We'll see if it continues. 770s, mostly flat in Nvidia today, though. We'll see what jobless claims do. Again, jobless claims unemployment filings drop at 8:30. We'll put a timer up. I got it a little bit off. Alright, so here's the jobless claims timer. We got an hour and 40 minutes left, roughly. Yeah, market cap small, float size is small. Can people selling in the morning really make a big difference? Depends on what time in the morning, and depends on how much selling is coming in, but yes. Nvidia hitting 775 in 2 months, according to Cantor Fitzgerald. Yeah, it's at 775. What does the market do? Bullish or bearish? Let me do a poll number here. Is pushing over high. All right, does unemployment, we'll just do unemployment filings. Does jobless claims come in higher or lower than expected? All right, so vote on that poll. Does jobless claims come in high or low? Supermicro, big money squeeze. Yep. Tesla at 197, so Tesla's even up some. The SPY is the one that's benefiting from this the most, I would say. The Q, I mean, the Q's at 435, so what's the lifetime highs? 439 is the lifetime highs on the Q. What about the NASDAQ 100? Should be just under lifetime highs. Yeah, so 18,121.50 is the lifetime highs. We're currently at 17.9 on the NASDAQ. So we're up there, guys. Like, the market's up. What's up, Rogue? Nvidia hit 1,000 this year. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so jobless claims are expected at, what was it, 216K, I believe, right? So, yeah, 216,000. Yeah, thank you so much for the subs, guys. Yesterday we grew by thousands and thousands of subscribers. Just crazy. Yeah. Yesterday, whew, last 28 days we've grown by over 5,000 subs. We've got about 400,000 hits in the last month. We got about 70,000 watch hours. So, hey, cheers to you guys. Honestly, Nvidia earnings are really turning into like the biggest economic release of the year. Like, we've got more people here for Nvidia earnings yesterday than we have for CPI, FOMCs. Are you listening to Polka? I guess. Here, let me put on my old music. I like my old music better. I think the stream likes my old music better too. Like, I think the stream likes the old music better. I've got two different music plays on. My bad, team. Hold on. I thought it sounded kind of warped. These are my old songs, dude. Hold on. Trying to see how old these songs are. Yeah, these are old music, but hey, they're pretty good. Yeah. Jensen Huang talks about the future. He's the 24th richest person in the world. Palantir filled the gap. Yeah, I'm in Palantir as well. Palantir back up to 2430s. Hey, you'd love to see it. I'll take it. SoFi even up a little bit from all this stuff, and we're in SoFi also. All right. Carvana is looking good for a pump in 80. Check it out. Yeah, I can't buy Carvana though, bro. Like, listen, Carvana has had a crazier move than everything. It was at 350s in January of last year, December of last year, or December of the year before last. 350s. It's now at $50 a share. You know. And again, it's not like Carvana to me is not like Nvda. Carvana is still a relatively new company over the last, 5 to 10 years. It's not a legacy company. And so Nvda is one thing. It's been around for decades. Carvana has not. I don't trust it in that way. It makes too big of swings personally for a company that's not necessarily a legacy company for me to really want to buy this thing up like that. Hey, what's up, Bulldog? My guy, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing well, brother. Gemini's already out, Carmen. We could use Gemini right now. Is Gemini better at writing code? Tab 9. Anybody ever tried Tab 9? Hey, thanks, Bulldog. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah, it was our largest stream ever, dude. We had like 14,000 people here live. Crazy stream, to be honest. Again, Nvidia's turning into the biggest economic release of the year, bro, which is crazy. It used to be CPI, just to put it into perspective, right? Like, I've covered all of this stuff for years, you know? Like, we cover all this economic stuff. And so, and the other interesting thing is that the FOMC minutes report wasn't super... I mean, it's never really that influential, but it can be. But the FOMC minutes report, basically, I thought it was a little bit more hawkish than expected. Originally, I looked at it as dovish, but when I started reading a little bit better, I think I kind of pivoted to hawkish. Somebody else in chat was like, yeah, it was hawkish. I tend to agree now after rereading it, after everything was said and done. You know, and again, it's just chaotic stream, man. Used to be the biggest stream we used to ever cover was CPI. CPI, we'd have like 4,000 people here live, you know, and that was like the biggest streams we'd ever do. Powell press conferences always got us more than that, though. Like prior to yesterday, our largest stream ever was almost 9,000 people, like 9,000 concurrent viewers, right? We got like 30, 40,000 views for it. Yesterday, we doubled that. So it was certainly our largest stream ever. And thanks so much for everybody that was part of it. I appreciate it. You know, again, it really goes to show that telling people you have no idea what you're talking about and are wildly wrong about everything is the right move, because that's what I do here. Also, with that said, remember, I am terrible at this stuff and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Good luck. Y'all be safe. You know, understand this rule right here. A key. Yo no say, you know. Understand that rule, guys. Recession this year. Do we hit a recession this year, chat? Let me know. Do we? It's that consistency. You're a beast. Yeah, I got a little bit of OCD. I think OCD helps, brother. I think OCD has helped me. But yeah, it's an interesting state of economy right now. Like, again, interest rates are still high, right? So interest rates are still high. And so what that means right now is that we got to question what the Fed is going to do, okay? What the Fed said in the Fed minutes report was that they noticed the risks to scaling down too soon. They noticed the risks of cutting rates too soon, essentially. And that, I guess, I'm interpreting as hawkish. Again, I'm going to go over this again because I think it's an important thing. And I think a lot of people hear the Fed and the FOMC and like all these different things and they don't really understand it, okay? But like the Federal Reserve, a centralized bank, and their job is to basically create monetary policy as well as like help other banks. That's what the central bank's goal is. Anyways, every 6 weeks they meet and they make their rate decision. And that's one of the tools for combating economics and specifically inflation. Rate hikes are a tool to combat inflation. The other tools they have a couple of different ones, quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. Quantitative easing is when they basically create money out of thin air. It's money printing. They create money out of thin air and they buy bonds with it, essentially treasury bonds and other things sometimes, and they inject liquidity into the market. This makes banks have better margins, and so banks, eventually it trickles into banks lowering interest rates to consumers, right? So in the logic of that, again, we're going to target mortgages because it's the easiest one, because people can understand mortgages. The logic of that is when people are paying less in their mortgage, they're going to have more money to spend on other things. And so injecting that liquidity into the market allows people to spend more, essentially. It boils down to people spending more money. You know, so in times of a crisis, of economic crisis like 2008, like 2020 to a certain extent, we had a lot of quantitative easing with stimulus checks, with injecting money supply into the market, bringing interest rates down very, very low, allowing people to spend more. And it basically can revive a struggling economy. One of the consequences of that, again, is inflation. You know, when people spend more, prices go up. The prices of Rolexes, the prices of Louis Vuitton, the prices of all these different goods over the last 4 years have skyrocketed. Why? Because everybody's got more money and they're spending it on stuff. Bernard Arnault, one of the richest guys in the world now, he's the owner of Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, all that stuff. Rolex prices up 100% relative to where they were pre-2020. And so prices go up. You know, and the Fed's other tools to combat that, rate hikes and quantitative tightening. And quantitative tightening is essentially the opposite of quantitative easing. You know, direct quantitative tightening means that they're actually selling bonds, they're unloading bonds, which is something that you can see. Or passive QT just means they're not buying anymore. They're just going to let their current holdings mature, and then they're going to get off their balance sheet. Either way, quantitative easing is increasing balance sheet for the Fed. Quantitative tightening is reducing it. And they all have pros and cons, and the Fed strategically uses them at different periods of time. And so when you hear the Fed, you hear quantitative easing, you hear quantitative tightening. That's what you're into the market, pulling back money into the market, and the effects that has on interest rates mostly and other things. But yeah, with that said, right now we've been in a period of quantitative tightening after 2020. So 2020 happened, we did quantitative easing, we did stimulus checks, and one of the consequences of that was, number one, was a revived economy. The economy did really well in a period of time in which, you know, it could have been struggling, especially with the pandemic and the disaster that happened from it. But one of the consequences was inflation. Inflation got rampant a year and a half ago. Inflation almost hit 9%. And so what does the Fed do? The Fed starts raising rates and they do QT. The question is, when do they stop QT? Like, when do they stop? I believe the last FOMC meeting, Powell said late this year, early next year. And if you want to know when interest rates are going to go down, that might potentially be when it is, when QT stops, because that's when the banks are going to have better margins and they're going to lower interest rates to consumers. And so we don't know when that's going to be. Interest rates are still very high. We don't know when all that stuff is going to happen. But yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. And anyways, going back to the Fed minutes report. The Fed minutes report yesterday essentially said that they're going to be very cautious in terms of cutting rates. You know, we've been raising rates in order to discourage spending. And, you know, for the last 5 FOMC meetings, I think it's about 5, we've paused rate hikes. So we're not raising rates, but we're not cutting rates. And the speculation is, when are we going to start cutting rates, go more dovish, do less QT? You know, when is the Fed going to stop reducing their balance sheet? When are they going to start cutting rates? That's when interest rates are going to go down. And the question is when. If we do it too early, what's the consequence of that? Inflation is the consequence of that. And we've had inflation data last week that came out higher than expected. And so with all of this into consideration, if the Fed pivots too soon to end QT, to cut rates, to take a more dovish market stance, inflation can get rampant and out of control. And I hear a lot of people complaining about inflation. You know, but then when the Fed raises rates, or when the Fed stays more hawkish for longer, then they get upset about that as well. And again, they both have to do with the same thing. These are the Fed's tools to target inflation. And so if you want inflation to go down, I don't necessarily think it's a good move to cut rates in March. A lot of people say it is, though. I don't think it's a good move. I think that's way too early. I think we still have elevated inflation. And if you really want inflation to go down, you know, that's what it takes. But again, when the Fed's pushing inflation down, the way they're doing it is they're discouraging spending. And that's going to mean a more struggling economy. So it's a balancing act between avoiding a recession, like not struggling the economy so much to where we hit a recession, and also combating inflation long term. Yeah, he tends to change his stance a lot with that type of stuff, though. He really does. He changes his stance a lot. Yeah, easing too quickly offers room for sure. I like this song, but I don't think we can play it. We're going to have to skip it. Wish the rates would go down fast. They're not, bro. Again, that's going to happen when the Fed stops reducing their balance sheet. You know? Might be next year before rates go down significantly. But who knows? It could happen anytime. You know, typically with rate hikes and stuff like that, like short-term bond markets are more quickly affected by it. You know, so there's a lot of nuance with it. Longer-term bond markets are less affected by rate hikes, or they react slower to rate hikes because, again, they take longer to mature and fall off, and you know, stuff like that. So it has to do with like bond yields and bond maturity dates. Hey, what's up, 3-digit? He should cut rates, in my opinion. Inflation will go down. Not necessarily, no. You got it backwards, Raphael. Cutting rates is a dovish sign. It's an expanding monetary policy decision. It would mean that we have more inflation risks if we start cutting rates too soon. But it would also more so stimulate the economy, right? So it's a balancing act. Basically, cutting rates would encourage more spending, for lack of a better word. Very happy with buying Nvda, up 23.5%. Hey, great. Hey, great job. 765 is where Nvda is at right now. Hey, what's up, Future? Palantir and Soxal calls. So yeah, I haven't even looked at the SOXL ETF. What about the man who can't pay his car note and mortgage? Well, I mean, to be honest, he's probably living above his means. You know, I think people have to live within their means. I think everybody wants to drive a fancy car and big house, but they don't really have the means to do it a lot of the time. And I think, especially right now with interest rates being high, you certainly don't want to lock yourself into a mortgage for a house that you can't pay for. Cash is king right now. You can't spend more than you earn, 100%. You can't get into debt that you can't pay for. Is the reality of it, right? And so again, I think the biggest problem, people want new cars, bro. Buy used cars. Buying a new car is one of the worst decisions you can make if you don't have what I would call FU money. You know, if you don't have FU money, do not buy a freaking brand new car. It makes absolutely no sense. That car is going to lose a huge percentage of its value as soon as you drive off the lot. Bro, buy a 2019 right now. You're going to get it at a massive discount relative to a brand new freaking car, and it's going to be so much cheaper. And it's just, you know, but everybody wants to buy a new car and flex, I guess. But again, that's why a lot of people are struggling. I get it, though. Right now, it really is a tricky time. It really is a tricky time. High interest rates, cars are expensive, hard to get a home, mortgages are super high. I get it right now. I get it, but it doesn't matter about insurance rates. Insurance rates insignificant in the grand scheme of things. If you're paying $50 a month, you're paying $600 extra a year. You know what I mean? That's going to be insignificant relative to the actual payment, especially right now with super high interest rates. The data is released at 8:30, Lisa. 8:30. Again, it might be a situation in which the question now with jobless claims is, does the market want more or less jobs right now? I could argue they want less jobs, personally. I think Nvidia earnings has ripped Nvidia up. I think if there is fear, it's inflation fears. And I think more jobs causes that to get worse. And so I think the market wants higher jobless claims. I think the market is going to react favorably to more jobless claims numbers, i.e. less people working, more people filing for unemployment. I think that's what the market's going to react favorably to personally, but it really is just a straight up guess, no idea, and I'm basing it off of the massive run that the market has done. I think the market still fears inflation in that way. That's why I also think cutting rates next month is a bad move, terrible move. I don't think the Fed's going to do it either. I think it's a very low chance that they do it, but anything could happen. But if they do it, it's a bad move. I read that Supermicro is doing an offering. Can you explain what that is? An offering just means they're selling shares. So you have the initial public offering, the one most people probably understand, which is called an IPO, the initial public offering, the first time shares are being sold to the public, an IPO, right? But there's also what's called secondary offerings, which is most of the time dilution. So if a company is selling more shares, it's diluting its float. It's a bad move, usually. It's not always a bad move. It depends on what company it is and what's going on. A lot of the time, newer companies have to do offerings because they've had these crazy good share prices and growth, but they don't really see that money. And so they sell more shares to get more buying power to expand the business, if that makes sense, right? So it's not always a bad thing. It depends on what the company is doing. An example of this would be like AMC doing an offering. AMC doing an offering didn't really look like the best move. Why? Because AMC was struggling. It was breaking down, depreciating wildly. And so it looked like a desperate move, like, oh no, we got to sell shares to survive. That's a bad sign. That will usually tank the stock. But if another strong company does it, it's a little bit more nuanced, and sometimes they can, sometimes the public can react positively to it because they have more buying power to expand or whatever it is. But it's just it's just selling shares. It's dilution of the float. Shoring up capital, yeah, whatever. They're just selling shares. Depends on how much the offering is too, and what that looks like. AMC is being intentionally tanked by the CEO. I don't know. It's up a little bit today, bro. Honestly, it's back up to almost 5. So, I mean, that's a pre-split price of 50 cents, but it's up there. Nvidia breaking down a little bit at 750s right now. The SPY still close to lifetime highs. The Fed is not substantially broken anything, so there's no need to lower rates. All right. Let me pull up Discord pod. Nvidia bouncing back up at 760s. Soxel calls, yeah. Microchip ETF, I'm sure, is absolutely crazy right now. Soxel up to $40 a share, man. What a crazy... this thing was back at $14 in October. So, crazy microchip run. Yeah, the problem with AMC is this, and I'm in AMC right now. I want it to go up. I hope it goes up. I genuinely want AMC to succeed because I'm in it right now. I hope it goes up, right? The problem with it is simple. The problem with AMC is that the business industry for movies, or the movie business industry, I meant to say, has fundamentally changed since 2020. It's fundamentally changed. All right. Historically, people went to go to a movie because they couldn't watch the movie at home. It was an event. They would take their date or whomever to the movie, and they would go see a movie, right? It was an event to go to. It was a social gathering. It was all these good things, right? And it still has those aspects to a certain extent. Like, certain people still go to the movies. But I think after 2020, movie theaters started doing deals for at-home streaming. right? So instead of going to a movie theater now, you can just pay $20 and watch the movie at home for most movies that come out. Not all of them. There's still a few huge movies that do it, but for most movies, you gotta, you can watch it at home now. You don't need to go to a theater. And necessity is the mother of invention. Like, if you don't need to go to a movie theater, people aren't going to go. I would much rather sit on my couch and watch these movies, unless I got to take my wife out or my kids want something to do. But after 2020 especially, the standard changed for movies. It really is this interesting thing as well. Something else that we're seeing over the last half of a decade, I would say, is we're seeing movie studios being more and more greedy. Movie studios are certainly more greedy. They're certainly more rigid, I guess is the best way to put it. What I mean by that is that, like, you can use Game of Thrones as an example. Okay, Game of Thrones used to be every single year you were getting a new season come out. So you didn't have to wait that long to see the next season of Game of Thrones. You didn't have to wait that long to see the next season of your favorite show. What changed over the last few years, number one, is that graphics have gotten so much better and the production quality of these movies have gotten so much better. But one of the big things that you're seeing now is movie studios are now waiting for the new season to be greenlit after the first season ends. And so instead of taking that gamble and betting, saying, hey, they're going to renew us for a second season, let's begin production. Instead of doing that, they're waiting all the way until the first season ends, waiting for it to get, the second season to get greenlit, and then they're starting production. So what this is doing is it's causing massive wait times in between. Like Game of Thrones, it's years and years in between these. It's 2 to 3 years. Stranger Things, it's 3 to 4 years. Like, you're having these massive wait times in between, and the 2020 stuff happened, and so that influenced wait times as well. But like 1923, great show, I gotta wait years to see the next season. Game of Thrones, it was like 3 years or 2.5 years between the last one. The Last of Us is gonna be years. And so again, part of that has to do with higher production quality, but the other part of that has to do with movie studios are more rigid, less likely to gamble on production. And so that's something that we're seeing a lot lately as well. That is causing not a lot of, like, historically, movie studios would put out movies and they would put them out in theaters, right? At this point in time, they're too afraid to lose money. And so they're not putting as many movies out in theaters. A lot of them are just going straight to DVD, straight to streaming, much more than historically. And so that is fundamentally changing the movie industry, and it's making physical movie theaters less needed. Now, you're still going to have some people that go there. You're always going to have people that want to go to a movie theater, but the margins for movie theaters are getting worse, more failing, less want to open, and it really is fundamentally changing the movie industry. Yeah, AI might start writing movies as well, especially with the new Sora. Yeah, movies at home with 80% discounted food. Yeah, I'm the type of person where when I buy food, I splurge. Food is one of the big things I splurge on a regular basis. Like, if I have somebody coming over to eat, or if we're getting food out from somewhere with, especially if I have like a guest at my house, dude, I'm buying all this different food. My whole family makes fun of me for it. I certainly overbuy food. But yeah, again, it is one of these things where people don't want to go to a movie anymore, man. They don't need to go to a movie anymore, They can watch it at home. Cheaper, more comfortable. You don't have to drive. You don't even have to get dressed. I can watch a movie in my boxers at home now and not have to worry about it. Yeah, the problem with AI-generated movies, though, is I guess that makes sense from books. Beach Bum. I think that makes perfect sense, brother. I think AI will write some book movies, and they'll produce it much faster. The question, though, is that it's hard for AI to understand nuance, I think. And so while it might be able to just kind of create a carbon copy of whatever it is, it's going to be hard for it to understand nuance, I think. But the economy is doing so well, everyone has a ton of cash to go and splurge. I certainly think you're being sarcastic, but that could be affecting people wanting to go to the movies as well, Maybe when interest rates start to drop, whenever that is, late this year or next year, maybe more people go to the movies. Yeah, because of those huge gaps between seasons. I know, man. Honestly, I got really into House of Dragon, and granted, the next one comes out this summer, so I'm pretty pumped about that. I got really into House of Dragon, and had to wait years, bro. Freaking years, dude. Like, this is the part that bothers me, is that they know this Game of Thrones show is gonna get greenlit. Like, it's Game of Thrones. It's the first new series of Game of Thrones. Like, they know it's going to get greenlit. They know the season 2 is going to get greenlit. They could have started production on it from day one as soon as the first episode dropped. They could have started production on it. But instead, they wait all the way to the end and then greenlight it, and then we got to wait longer for production. It's just kind of like, come on, man, take a risk. It's not even like a super risky bet. Like, of course, the first season of Game of Thrones, or the second season, is going to get greenlit. Like, just greedy, rigid, unnecessary. They're getting greedy. And now they're coming out striking, saying, I want more money. There's very little, I have very, very little sympathy towards these rich and wealthy movie, like actors. You know what I mean? Like, these actors saying, I want more money. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you only got paid $4 million. It's like, they're not even writing the movies. You know, the actors are acting, the writers are writing. And the actors are mad they're not getting royalties just from acting in the movie. Like, how greedy can you get, man? Like, you're making millions of dollars to sit there and pretend. I'm not saying it's not hard, but, like, come on now. Very little sympathy for them. Yeah, I fall asleep very quickly, too. Most actors don't get paid millions. Yeah, well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about the total of actors out there in the world. I'm talking about big Hollywood actors that are striking. You know, that's what I'm talking about. And again, one of the reasons that they're striking is because they're complaining they're not getting paid royalties from these movies, which again is just a ridiculous thing. It's like they're not writing the movies. They're not writing the scripts. If they were writing the scripts, fine, ask for royalties and negotiate that. But if you're not writing the scripts, you're not due royalties. It's nonsensical. Yeah, Crimea River, 100%. Yeah, yesterday we had almost 14,000 futuristic. 14,000 people. Honestly, I'm still excited about it, to be honest. The amount of adrenaline that comes with having that many people it was fun, man. I was tired, though. I streamed for almost 10 hours yesterday. Nvidia about to back up. It's over that 200 EMA. Volume weighted average price is right above it. The previous high was right here. So we did have that previous high up here. I don't know. Yeah, Ben, please stop spamming things, dude. Actors and athletes are babies. They need to get a grip on how awesome their everyday reality is. Yeah, with athletes, I'm a little bit more understandable, right? Athletes are, like it's a little bit. I guess it's more rare. It's more rare, right? Like athletes being good. Athletes have more talent, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Now, I'm not saying actors don't have talent, but you got a lot of people that can act really, really well that, it's impossible for them to find an acting job, And so with an athlete, it's very rare. Like, it's very rare that you have, like, a highly skilled basketball player that doesn't go to the NBA, or doesn't go to pro league in one way or another. You've got tons of great actors that are just forgotten, passed by the wayside. Like, nobody cares about it because there's so many of them. Hey, thank you, Ramsey, my guy. Thanks so much, dude. I mean, Leo's a good actor, but you got tons of actors that are just as good as Leo. Leo just did really smart movie selection. So he wasn't desperate for movies, and he handpicked his movies to a point in which every single movie he did was good, for the most part. Not everyone, but most of them were good. So what Leo did that was really smart is that he handpicked his movies. He didn't jump on board any movie offered to him like a lot of actors do. Instead, he only picked movies that he thought would be a success, and he did. Like, almost all of his movies were great movies. And so now he can he can demand a high premium for his services because people understand you get Leo involved, you're probably going to do well, and so he can demand that. Spamming already started. Yeah, we got 500 people here at 7:30, so I mean, hey. We still got an hour until jobless claims come out. Yeah, for sure. You ask the same actors if they're going to be willing to pay for the losses and take the risk. It all has to do with risk. You know, that's with business in general. You hear people say, oh, the workers should own the business. And it's like the workers aren't taking any risk. You know, you take the risk, you reap the reward. And sometimes you don't reap the reward. Most businesses actually fail. You know, the very famous saying is that it takes 6 failed businesses for one to succeed. And in my experience, it's very true. Very true. Even on social media. Like, I started a bunch of social media brands prior to beginner trading. None of them succeeded until this one. And so it really does take time, and you got to just persevere through it and be a little bit, be relentless with it. Because most of them fail. And it's a very disheartening, discouraging thing. It's not easy to keep pushing. What helps you persevere is if you're actually passionate about what it is. So if you're actually into what it is, like it's something that you're truly passionate about, that's where you're going to have the perseverance to continue pushing and continue growing, even when it's hard, even when you're not getting anybody there. Passion can, they always say monetize your passions, and I think that's the right thing. Carvana opinion. Carvana's up a little bit too much for me personally. It's up from 350s at the end of 2022. It's now at $50. It's just up over 10x in the last year and a half. And it's a relatively new company. It's not a legacy company. I just don't trust it. It's up too much for me personally. There aren't writers for sports shows, right? I mean, that's kind of vague. I think it depends on what kind of sports show. If you're talking about a fictional sports show or a scripted sports show, of course there's writers. If you're talking about, there's certainly some writers to everything. Like they're gonna build a blueprint for the show, regardless of whether they're writing every word or whether they're just giving kind of a context to what they want you to talk about. I think it depends. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Grant Cardone is somebody who, I watched a lot of him growing up. I think he's trying to get clicks, and so I think you have to take what he says with a grain of salt. But I also think that he's incredibly condescending in some ways to normal people, and I think he's a Scientologist, And so those two things, no offense to whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not even gonna mention the other dude. Bro, please help. What does it mean if jobless claims are higher than expected? It means more people are filing for unemployment. So it means more people without jobs, i.e. claiming to be jobless. WWE wrestlers don't own the rights. Yeah, I think the move is to kind of be like Conor McGregor, though. Conor McGregor did the right move in that situation in which he was a company man. He did what he needed to do. He brought the company so much revenue. He made himself indisposable, right? He made himself indisposable. And that's the move. And then eventually he started getting pay-per-view points. I think that's what it really is that like Conor McGregor did the right thing. He came in, he made himself indisposable, and then he started growing with the company to where the UFC loves Conor. Conor loves the UFC, and Conor can demand whatever he wants in that situation now because he's so influential over the UFC's bottom line that they'll give him whatever he wants. And so I think if you're going to come into a company, I think that's the move. Make yourself indisposable. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Scientologist, I'm just going to avoid that topic, man. Y'all, I don't want to be too mean, you know, and so I'm just going to avoid that topic, bro. I couldn't imagine believing that, but I'm just going to avoid that topic like the plague, brother. Yeah, the new Roadhouse looks good, dude. The new Roadhouse looks good. John Jones is the best, though. Yeah, I think certainly John Jones is probably the MMA GOAT. You know, there's a couple people you could argue. Khabib, you know, Khabib. He is, in terms of dominance, I think Khabib, it's arguable. I think Jones, record-wise, certainly the greatest, without question, record-wise. I think in terms of overall dominance, you got to give it to Khabib. I think Jones won a lot of questionable decisions, in my opinion. I thought Jones lost to Thiago Santos. I thought Jones lost to the first Gustafsson fight. I thought Jones lost to Dominic Reyes. And so, and he was kind of gifted those decisions. But again, I still think he's probably the GOAT. I think those fights could have gone either way. They were close enough. But in terms of just sheer dominance, I got to give it to Khabib. But again, it's close. It's close. Both of them are the greatest in their own weight classes, without question. You know, people hate on Jones a lot, but the dude's awesome at fighting. I mean, you can't deny it. Nah, GSP got knocked out by Matt Serra. You can't give him the greatest designation. He got knocked out by Matt Serra. You could call it a fluke. You know, he got knocked out by Matt Serra. Fedor Emelianenko, he was great for his time. You know, great for his time. He kept fighting for too long. You know, so he kept fighting well past his prime and started getting KO'd. And so that's the problem with Fedor. He was great. He ran through a lot of people. It was before the UFC was really big, though. And so, you know, I don't think we can give him GOAT status. I just don't. He got knocked out a bunch of times. You know, the people he fought were arguable. Although it was a really fun thing to watch Fedor fight. I used to watch him fight way back in the day when I was young. It was a fun thing, but you know, personally, my bias is against giving it to Fedor. Yeah, oh, for sure. He was great. No question. Anyways, all right, guys. Hey, we got an hour left, basically. A little bit under an hour left. The SPY still testing lifetime highs. Nvidia broke previous lifetime highs by a big margin. Currently at 760s. A little bit sideways over the last 10 minutes here. Nvidia earnings came in much better than expected yesterday, especially EPS, but their revenue was higher, their guidance was better, and Nvidia is surging up almost to $800. Now, the question is, where does Nvidia close today? Khabib fought a ton of cans. I mean, he cleaned out the division. You know, he beat Conor twice. You know, he beat Poirier. He beat Justin Gaethje. He beat, you know, everybody, essentially. I agree he retired too early, for sure. You know, so I think you probably got to give it to Jones based off of record alone. But it's close. Anderson Silva definitely didn't suck. Y'all will get me to talk about MMA all day, bro. Stop it. Tesla going down like always. I thought Tesla was up today, bro. Let me see. Tesla's still pretty green on the day, though. It's down a little bit over the last 10 minutes, but it's green on the day. It's at 195s. I mean, it could do worse. It was at like 170s, 180s a couple weeks ago, so I'm okay with it being at 195s. Yeah, Anderson Silva was fun to watch. He was great for sure. You know, one of the greatest. But I think one thing Khabib did do well is he got out when he's supposed to. Even if some people would argue it's too early. Francis is great as well, right? Francis is great as well. I'm not arguing Francis isn't great, but Francis left the UFC a little bit too early to be considered one of the GOATs, but he was good. You know, Francis was really good. So much power. What's crazy about Francis is that he started MMA so late in his life, right? Like, he started MMA like 5-6 years ago. Maybe not 5-6, 5 or 6 years before he got to the UFC, which is crazy. A lot of people nowadays start when they're very young. Francis did not. Francis started when he was an adult, basically. So, one of the crazier things. Just shows the sheer athleticism that he has. Jones is better than Silva. If we're talking about if they fought each other, Jones would probably win. I mean, Jones is just so long. Yeah, rest in peace. Palantir up to over 24s. Let's see if it actually holds. Again, Nvda at 763s. 763s for Nvda. Again, the SPY still over that 200 EMA volume weighted average price. And if you're not watching these two levels, you're missing out. It's a big spot. Nvda at 764s. Super Micro all the way back up to 800s here. Super Micro at 823.30s. So Super Micro ramping up. We still got 50 minutes left, team. 50 minutes left before jobless claims numbers. Meta's up. Yeah, I mean, a lot of AI stocks are going to be up today, mostly from sympathy from Nvidia. You know, AI stocks are running. You got Meta up, Apple. Probably green. Yeah, Apple's green. Amazon. Even though these aren't necessarily AI stocks, tech in general is going to be moving up in sympathy from these, from Nvidia and earnings. What happened to Lucid? Lucid down. What happened to Rivian? Rivian down. What was the other ones? Etsy. Etsy is down. I'm in Etsy right now too. We're down some. I could add some to it. I think Etsy has a niche, is why I bought it. It's a small share size, though. Super Micro sold off a little bit. We're at 821s. All right, guys. Watching, yeah, Super Micro down to 820s or so. Nvidia still pushing up over that 200 EMA. Watch this yellow line. It's the 200 EMA. With moving averages, I try to specifically watch longer term milestone levels. I don't really watch. I don't really want to watch short term moving averages, just because a lot of the time. A lot of the time they don't hold, they don't have a lot of weight. I'd prefer to look at milestone long-term levels. That's why I watch volume weighted average price, 200 EMA. I'm just looking at milestone levels. All right, let me catch back up on chat. So we got over 500 people here. We're still waiting for jobless claims. Higher or lower than expected, team? Higher or lower than expected? All right. Yeah, bro. So people are weird on YouTube, dude. Like I see people, and it's like I see people, and they create different accounts with different names, and it's like they're obviously the same person. It's just weird, dude. Like you got some weird people on the internet, obsessive people I've never met before, just weirdly obsessive and strange. It's very weird dynamic, man, when you got people like that that are just kind of, like, for lack of a better word, stalking you. It's odd. I'm not going to give any context to that, but just people are weird. Supermicro 870s this morning sold off. Yeah, I mean, Nvda was at the 775 this morning and dipped back down too. Tesla was at almost 200 today, dipped all the way down to 195. Palantir was at 2430s or so, all the way down at 24s. So a lot of tech stocks have dipped down a little bit this morning. Yeah, somebody said Rivian earnings were more important than Nvidia. I think they were just trolling though. Tesla Cybertruck's getting rusty already, bro? Really? Market slapped me in the face. 10 years at an all-time high. Maybe if you weren't the most attractive trader on the planet, you would have less stalkers. Just a thought. I mean, listen, when you look this good, you know, you have this type of life that I'm living, and you're also, you know, top 3 most humble people in the world right now. You know, I think it's hard. You know, it's hard to stay humble when you look this good. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, listen. Y'all stop it. Let it go. Move on. Seriously, though, if you're spending that much time stalking me, what are you doing in your life, bro? What are you doing with your life, man? Find something else to do. It can't be healthy. It can't be healthy. I wouldn't say most, but top 3. Definitely top 3 for sure. SPY was moving like a penny stock before the close. Nvidia is moving like a meme stock, and that's okay. I'm for it. You know, I'm for a squeeze to happen. You know, definitely top 3 most Forrest Griffin looking traders in the world right now. Nvidia is at all-time highs. Yes, basically. All-time high is 775 for pre-market. The previous all-time highs, though, if you put a daily chart up, is only going to be at 740s. And so they're not technically all-time highs until we break. They're not technically all-time highs until we break it during market hours itself, so post 9:30. So after 9:30, if we're still up there at the opening bell, we will break all-time highs. So it just depends. All right, we're back. I think you like talking about your stalker. I promise. I mean, listen. While flattering to have people that are just completely obsessed with me, and again, like, I'm not lying. Like Pawn knows, I'm sending Pawn. Like, I see people. Yeah, there's just some stuff like going on in the background. It's a very unsettling feeling, and it's just weird. Like, it's just weird. I've never stalked anybody in my life. Like why? Like, find something else to do, bro. I got my own stuff going on. You know, I think it really does show that you don't have anything else going on if you're obsessing over somebody else in that way. I've disliked other people, you know, and stuff like that, but, like, obsessing over somebody in that way is just unhealthy, man. Just unhealthy. I'm gonna buy the Nasdaq. Yeah, he's feeling better. This guy is my doppelganger, bro? Glauber? This man? Alright, wait. So y'all are saying I look like this. Got it. Alright, cool. Hey. Definitely top 3 looking like that dude in the world right now for sure. This is the guy that traded all his Dogecoin for a crappy car, right? That's this guy. If I'm remembering correctly, that's this dude. He traded all his Dogecoin, which would have been worth millions and millions of dollars, for like, what was it, like a 95 Honda Accord or something like that. That was this guy, right? I think so. Yell at me if I'm wrong, but paparazzi, yeah, man, they're just getting, you know, paparazzi, just always out here trying to take pictures of me in my beautiful library, you know. I'm so handsome. Yeah, that's my life, you know. I mean, listen, it's what I have to bear, you know. You're him if you sold at the top. He represents Nvidia shorts. Pacino? What about Pacino? What do you make of Supermicro Semiconductor's actions here? Are you expecting it to retest previous highs? It depends on what Nvidia does. I think Nvidia is going to influence this a lot. You know, the thing about Supermicro is that it's a small float company. So it has the potential to do crazy moves, much more than Nvidia does. Nvidia's float is billions. Supermicro has less than 50 mil in the float. And so in that regard, it has a much more volatile price action. And so, yeah, I mean, it has the range to move up crazy. And now remember, it's not worth more than Nvidia is. Nvidia's certainly worth way more than Supermicro Semiconductors. It just has a smaller float. And so it has a 50 million float at $800, where Nvidia has what, like, I think it's like 2.6, let me see. I think it's like, yeah, Nvidia has 2.5 billion shares in the float, essentially. So way, way more floats, shares in the float for Nvidia. It's just much more valuable as a company. Seth Green. I mean, I guess that's okay. Seth Green. It's better than Forrest Griffin, you know. Great deal in 95. Car was new. Yeah, man, this dude's unloading all his Dogecoin in 1995. MP, of course, bro. You know, I'm sure he's gonna buy Beanie Babies with it. I don't think I'm charismatic. I think I just have ADHD. Nvidia keeps rising. Everything puts on SQ looking very nice. Austin Powers 4. Yeah, I mean, you hear Mike Myers, though, is apparently like a big jerk in Hollywood, which is kind of disappointing, of course. Like, I wish he wasn't a jerk, but he is, unfortunately. ARM can go to 20. I'm still in ARM. I got in ARM on IPO day, right? So I'm in ARM. My average price on ARM, I didn't even realize, is $63.55. Exactly. $63.55 is my average price for ARM. And again, I feel bad selling it because I've held it since IPO day. Honestly, this might be, true story, this might be the one IPO stock that I actually made money on. All right, I bought Coinbase at like $420 on IPO day, lost boatloads of money. My first big loss in day trading was when I believe it was, man, what was it, dude? It was, I'm trying to think of what company it was, man. A company IPO'd, it was like 2018. It was a big company. Let me see. Oh, no, this was in like 2016, I think, actually. Twilio. Might have been Twilio. What else we got? Trivago. It was Roku. Okay, so Roku IPO'd in 2017, actually, is what it was. So Roku IPO'd in 2017. And like dumb old John at the time, you know, I was brand new as a trader. I had like a couple $1,000s in a SureTrader account, which was like an overseas brokerage that gave you crazy amounts of leverage, and they had no PDT rule, super sketch, Guy Gentiles company. And like I remember I was up $100 on the day, and I remember being like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna buy up." You know, I was like, "Hey, I'm already up $100 on the day," completely oblivious to volatility in IPOs. I'm like, "Yeah, but guys, I'm up $100 on the day. I'm just gonna take a little 50 shares of Roku, and just, you know, see what happens. And if I lose, I might lose $20. I'm still gonna be up on the day or whatever." And Roku was at $122 and incredibly volatile. And Roku ended up dropping IPO day from, it opened at 125. It ended up dropping all the way down to 112s, and I lost tons of money trading Roku IPO. You know, I don't have good success with IPOs at all. And so ARM is one of those companies where I bought it on IPO day, and I'm actually up over 100% on the trade. Over 100%. So, hey, you love to see it. I'll take it. Finally, an IPO W, which I desperately needed. My IPO record is not good. I bought Coinbase at like 420s, everybody's favorite number, up there on IPO day. Yeah, Coinbase, 420s, IPO day. Lost the boatload on that one as well. Yeah. Since then, I mostly stay away from IPO day, although I did believe in ARM, and I bought ARM, and it worked. So maybe my IPO skills are getting better. How's the jobless claims data affect markets? Jobless claims data is going to influence markets in a big way. Or not necessarily in a big way, but it's going to influence markets in that it's going to signal spending numbers. Like how much spending is going on. Spending is most likely going to be seen as a negative sign, in my opinion. Like higher spending is worse right now because Nvda is ripping up, inflation still high last week, and the Fed was hawkish. And so I think inflation pressures are going to cause the market to react negatively to more jobs, to lower jobless claims numbers. Lower jobless claims numbers means more people working. I think the market's going to react negatively the more lower it is. But again, I'm purely guessing here, speculating. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. Always do your own research, trade responsibly, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's a day in which happens once a week on Thursday. Every Thursday, jobless claims come out. And so in terms of significance, it's not the biggest report. Although we have a lot of stuff happening today, actually. We got a bunch of Fed speakers. We got existing home sales. We got flash and services PMI data. We got jobless claims data. And so we actually got a lot of stuff coming out today. But jobless claims drops earliest at 8:30 in about 30 minutes. So hit that sub button if you haven't already, guys. Again, we've grown by over 5,000 subscribers in 28 days. You know, almost 6,000 subs total. So in the last month, that is. Thanks so much, team. Yeah. Reddit IPO. How do y'all think that's gonna go? Slightly lower is good? I don't know. Yeah, Money Mitch with who used to work at Benzinga, a friend of mine. He told me to buy Bitcoin at $3,500, and I didn't listen to him. Ugh, Still mad. But what happened originally, like anybody that was there to experience that, Bitcoin started to run. People were like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's running. This is crazy. It got up to 10K and everybody said, oh my gosh, this is super high up. And then it pulled back to $3,500. And then everybody said, oh no, the crash is done. The crash is happening. Let's get out. And then, of course, in hindsight, I should have bought that dip. But, you know, I was young and still pretty risk averse. I don't like. Yeah, we'll see if we hit 130. We're getting there. We got 700 people here. We still got 30 minutes before jobless claims numbers. When jobless claims drop, we'll have thousands here, which is great. I appreciate the tuning in for my stream here, chat. When's an ETH Bitcoin or an ETH ETF gonna happen? I don't know. My channel's just had crazy growth, dude. Crazy growth. You love to see it. Like, look at this. This is my favorite metric. We've got about 130,000 views over the last 2 days. So, averaging about 65,000 views a day over the last 2 days. We're not, I mean, I hope we sustain that, but, you know. My channel is mostly about economic reports, and so the amount of views we get depends on what kind of reports are coming out. Nvda earnings, obviously, CPI, the FOMC minutes report yesterday. Just a lot of economic reports over the last couple days, but hopefully it sustains. Next week we got PCE data, personal consumption expenditure data. So that should help markets, hopefully. If inflation comes in low, that is, we'll see. You know, the Fed prefers to use PCE data to gauge it. And again, I talked about this earlier in terms of like economics. But the Fed has been in a period after 2020 with quantitative easing, basically money printing, the Fed injecting money into injecting liquidity, expanding their balance sheet, buying bonds up, and reducing interest rates in 2020 to save the economy from the pandemic. After that happened, you know, when the Fed injects so much money into the market and interest rates go down, people spend so much as a consequence to it, especially with stimulus checks and stuff like that from 2020, that one of the consequences is that prices go up. And so following 2020 and the quantitative easing that went on, we had really high inflation. Again, a year and a half ago, maybe it was 2 years ago, it was almost 9%. And so what the Fed does in consequence of that is they do what's called quantitative tightening, and they rate hike. They raise rates. QT is the opposite of QE. It's the Fed reducing their balance sheet, trying to discourage spending is what they're trying to do. You know, with quantitative tightening, as long as it's what they do, passive QT mostly means they just stop buying bonds and stuff, and they let the current balance sheets, bonds that are on their balance sheet mature and run off their balance sheet instead of just selling, which is direct QT. And again, they've been raising rates pretty aggressively to try to discourage inflation over the last like year and a half or so, 2 years. They slowed those rate hikes. They haven't raised rates in the last, like 5 or 6 cycles. I think they've paused for the last like 6 cycles, maybe 5 cycles, maybe it's 4. I'll have to go back and check, but they've been pausing interest rates. And the question is, when do we start cutting rates? You know, if you want to know when interest rates are going to start dropping, it's when they stop QT. And, you know, obviously another part of that is cutting rates. Then the Fed pivoting to a more dovish, you know, which means an expanding monetary policy stance. We don't know when that's going to be, but if the Fed does it too soon, we're going to have worse inflation. And with last week's inflation report with CPI and PPI both coming in higher than expected, it's just simply too premature to cut rates. I don't think it's going to happen in March. I think if the Fed does it in March, it's going to be disastrous consequences in terms of inflation. And I think that if the Fed wants to be balanced, it needs to be June plus for the rate cuts. Now, again, I don't know when it's going to be. We'll ultimately see. But with all of that in mind, right, the point right now that I'm trying to make is that the Fed's still hawkish, especially in the last FOMC meeting and the FOMC Fed minutes report yesterday. The Fed said that we have to be very cautious in terms of easing into these rate cut decisions because inflation is still out of control. not out of control, but inflation is still unstable. We still have inflation problems. It's too early to cut. And so I think with all of that in mind, the lens you want to look at jobless claims under is spending. Okay, so more people claiming to be without work signals less spending. I think the market might react positively to it. Again, purely a guess. With jobless claims, since it's a weekly report, anything, we could have any reaction here. We could have up, we could have down, we could have sideways, we could have nothing, we could have big moves, no move. Anything could happen with jobless claims because it is a weekly report. It happens every week on Thursday, and we cover it live. Hit the subscribe button. But I think that's the lens you want to look at it under. Is spending is bad. The Fed's hawkish. We're not going to cut rates anytime soon, in my opinion. And so I think, I think cutting rates too early is bad. I think the market recognizes that. I think with Nvda pushing up and the market ripping up over highs, I think people are going to fear more so inflation. And again, I'm for Nvidia pushing up. I just think it's too early to cut rates. And again, we're in a weird market. I talked about this yesterday. Typically with QT, or at least in theory, quantitative tightening could cause negative stock reactions, equities reactions. Why? Because when interest rates are higher, people are spending more, and people are spending more. People have less wiggle room in terms of their spending, and so they can't spend as much when interest rates are higher, if that makes sense, right? The easiest way is to look at mortgages. When you're paying more in mortgage payments, you got less money to spend on other stuff, right? And so typically during QT, you can have less spending, and that can sometimes equate to lower stock prices because less people ultimately have money to buy the S&P 500 or whatever. But right now with QT, in the middle of QT like we're in now, stock prices are breaking highs. And so it's not the most sensible thing right now in markets. I hear a lot of bears talking about, hey, this market doesn't make sense. This market doesn't make sense. And in that regard, they're right. In that regard, we're in the middle of QT and the stock market's breaking highs. But you have to understand that it's mostly due to tech and Nvidia and AI. Like, this is another technology boom, like kind of similar to the internet, similar to the automobile. This is another tech boom that we're in right now. Some people discount it, just like people discounted the internet, people discounted the automobile. But I think we're obviously in another tech boom. The question is whether it's in a bubble or not. And I'm not sure. We'll see. What's a controversial perspective you carry that could be insanely profitable? Betting, I don't know if it's controversial. It's probably the least controversial thing. But what I always say is that the biggest edge you'll ever have in markets is on the upside in blue chips. Ignore mid caps, ignore penny stocks. Dollar cost averaging into blue chip markets and index funds over long periods of time is the single biggest edge you'll ever have in markets. And people that are trying to bet against markets long term are in one of the biggest sucker bets they could ever be in. Now, you might get crashes, you might get corrections in between, but again, the S&P is going to give you 10% on average every year. Not every year, but on average each year. And that includes years that are bearish and crashes. And so outside of that, on good years, like last year, it's going to do much more than 10%. Last year, the S&P did 24%. Thanks for reminding me about jobless claims. Hey, no worries. Certain sectors are doing bad, though, and rate cuts are needed. Like what? What sectors? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just asking. Right. Well, I understand most mortgages are fixed rates. What I'm saying is, like, we're talking about new buyers. So, we're not talking about people's interest rates are changing for their fixed mortgages. We're talking about new people that are now getting a mortgage that want to buy homes are having less money to spend on other things because their mortgages are so expensive right now. Less people are buying homes in that regard. Commercial is struggling as well. And so there's just a lot of nuance behind it. But yeah, in the end, it trickles into less people spending. Yeah, so there's S&P Flash and Services PMI. I don't know what we're going to get for unemployment. Banks, auto. Well, yeah, banks are going to struggle during QT. That's pretty normal. Why? Because QT is literally hurting bank margins. QE helps banks' margins and allows them to lower interest rates to consumers. Raising rates hurts bank margins. It's all trying to discourage spending. And so that's why today's jobless claims report is relevant to everything, because it'll give some perspective on spending. I have no idea. I think personally, and again, sometimes it's, you have to look at it, you have to zoom out. The initial reaction is sometimes wrong too. But I think the market wants less spending right now. I think if jobless claims come in super high, I think that's what the market wants. I think it just wants ultimately less spending. All right, guys, we still got 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It just means how many people are filing for unemployment, Daniel. Flash services and manufacturing PMI is coming out this late this morning. It's coming out at 9:45. So we got flash and services. No recession fears yet. No, I mean, I think does GDP drop next week? Let me see. So next week, yeah. So next week we have first revision GDP data coming out. I'm trying to see what's expected, but I don't think we're anywhere near a recession personally. GDP growth has been there, I think, but let me check. I'm gonna look into next week when GDP, I think, is coming out Wednesday. PCE data comes out Thursday, so next week very important for all this stuff as well. Yeah, so GDP data is expected at 3.3%. 3.3%. So certainly not in a recession. Recession's technically defined as 2 losing quarters in GDP-wise, back-to-back consecutively. So we're just not there. And again, I think a lot of people follow the news and watch the news, and the news's job is to get clicks and tell you it's the end of the world. You know, I think a lot of people want the economy to be worse than it is, so the Fed pivots to cut rates so that interest rates go down. A lot of real estate and mortgage professionals specifically want that, because again, you got to think about it in the lens of, if you're a real estate agent, it's pretty hard to sell a house if mortgages are 8%. You know, same thing if you're a mortgage broker, of course. And so a lot of the time what they want is a weaker economy, because a weaker economy means the Fed might cut rates earlier and get out of QT earlier, and ultimately that'll benefit interest rates and, you know, stuff like that. So I think that's confirmation bias in that way. I think inflation's too sticky to start doing that anytime soon. All right, guys, Tesla at 196. 196. All right, guys. So we'll see when QT starts. Or we'll see what I'm sorry, not QT. We'll see what jobless claims show up as. We got 16 minutes here, team. 16 minutes. The recession is a year away. Dead people. Jerome Powell said it will not affect productivity, AI, in short term. Short term, yes. I mean, it's going to be a lagging effect like most things. But I think AI will certainly affect productivity in a positive way long term. Well, we had 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters, what, like 2 years ago? So technical recessions, we were in one, I believe, for a couple years ago. But it didn't last long at all, and I think we rebounded very quickly. So a lot of people didn't even call it a recession. So it just depends on the definition of it. But by technical definition, which is 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters, you know, I'm pretty sure we were in one for at least a very small period of time. What about ARM? I'm in ARM right now. It's going up, right? It's up to 130s right now, 132s. Tesla right around that 200 EMA volume weighted average price. Yeah, I'm checking back up on chat. Out of schedule today, anything other than jobless claims you have your eye on? I have S&P manufacturing and services data coming out, flash data. Frankie's candles. Or wait, is it? Yeah. Frankie candles, yeah. Candle Mafia, hey. Dude has so much energy, brother. So much energy, man. It's a good platform to trade on. I have Webull and 6K. Should I switch to a different platform? Well, I mean, do whatever you got to do, brother. Platform is subjective. Oh, actually, sorry, Debbie. I'm just now seeing Debbie. Sorry. I called everybody brother. My apologies, though. But yeah, I mean, platforms are subjective. Whatever platform you like is going to depend on your own preferences. Teledoc, maybe. Hey, appreciate the love. I'll have to go check out Frankie, or Candle, or is it? Frankie Candles. I'll have to go check out his channel more. I saw a stream yesterday. It was solid. It was fun. And he donated $100 to me, so you gotta love it and appreciate it, I think. Not a small channel either, so. IB. In 10 minutes, Nvidia is gonna touch 1250, so cheap at this price? Of course not. Look, I hope Nvidia goes up. I'm just skeptical it's gonna hit 1250. That's almost 100% gains in 10 minutes. Moo. I like Moo. Moo's cool. Alright, guys. We got over 900 people here. We still got over 10 minutes left until this report drops. Y'all be safe. Again, Nvidia at 760s. We'll see what jobless claims do today. Again, next week's the another big week in economic reports. I don't think we have any big earnings next week. Oh, we got GameStop earnings, right? Or no, we have We have AMC earnings next week. Does AMC do earnings calls? I'm pretty sure they still do, right? But AMC earnings next week. So yeah, AMC earnings next week, I believe. I think it's next Wednesday. When is AMC's next earnings report? But that's next week. We also have PCE data, GDP data next week, so it's a pretty busy week. Yeah, so next Wednesday at 4:15 p.m. I think that's p.m., right? Did I just exit out of that? Oh, I did. Oops. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah, so it's 4:15. Okay, good. So AMC earnings next week as well. We'll stream that also. Jobless out. No, Jobless comes out at 8:30 in about 9 minutes. SPY holding at that 200 EMA volume weighted average price level. Yeah, we got about 1,000 people here, guys. I'm going to throw it in sub-only mode as well. So thank you so much for the subs, guys. We appreciate the love. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Expectation is 216. It says it right below me, right here. 216,000. All right, QBTS. Yeah, penny stock. I just don't know enough about it. I'm pretty skeptical. Again, I think a lot of new traders lose so much money with penny stocks. They just overestimate their strength through confirmation bias. They want it to be more valuable, so they believe it will be. And they don't have that much money, so they think they have to buy these terrible companies and invest in these crap companies. And most of the time, these companies are going to fail. If you look at most long-term charts of companies like this, they almost all fail. Even QBTS has got a pretty rough-looking long-term chart. Now, again, I think AI and quantum computing could resurge a lot of these stocks. Specifically, could happen with QBTS. So I'm a little bit more bullish on this one relative to other penny stocks. But I think you just got to be careful with low floats. I thought Tesla was going to hit 200. Yeah, no, I'm not saying you don't, Thomas. Again, I think this stock specifically is a little bit more resilient to what I was just saying. But I think most penny stocks are going to fail. And I think there's a lot of sensationalized marketing put out there about them. And it talks new traders into spending too much money on terrible companies. And then they treat the companies like it's Amazon or Apple. And they sit on it long term. And they just end up losing more and more money. It depreciates more and more. And has, just causes new traders to lose a bunch of money in terrible companies. Broadcom, AVGO, it's already huge. So yeah, AVGO already a massive company. All right, guys. Hey, we are about to drop jobless claims pretty soon. AVGO. Whoa, dude, did they recently split? Man, it had been a minute since I looked at Broadcom. The last time I looked at it was in October. It was at 850s. It's at 1,200 plus, almost 1,300. AVGO's had crazy gains. Yeah, we got about 6.5 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button as well. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We appreciate it. Penny stocks fail, their CEOs rake in money. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of penny stock holders don't even realize that the CEOs don't believe in the company. They're just looking to unload at the top and make millions and ride off into the sunset. If you know your company's going to fail, in their mind, you can either rug pull everybody and make millions or sit on it and let it fail. A lot of them choose the first one. Terrible decision and horribly for traders, but goes horribly for traders. Anyways, we got jobless claims dropping in about 5 minutes, guys. Again, remember, with jobless claims specifically, okay, with jobless claims, the lens you want to look at it under right now is spending, okay? The Fed was more hawkish. The Fed's minutes report showed that that the Fed doesn't want to move too quickly with rate cuts. So a hawkish Fed, quantitative tightening still in full effect, interest rates still really, really high. I think the market's inflation was higher than expected last week. I think the market is going to fear inflation. Nvidia is still pumping up. The market's still surging, and I love to see it. I want to see Nvidia shoot up. But I think in that regard, the market's still going to fear inflation to a certain extent. And so I think higher jobless claims is going to mean the market is more optimistic for inflation. Lower jobless claims means the market is less optimistic for inflation and more optimistic for the economy in general. But there's a balancing act there. And again, personally, I think the market's not going to want lower jobless claims. I think the market wants higher jobless claims. Might be wildly wrong. This is just a straight up guess. Remember, I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Yeah, I mean, Hot Wheels, I think you might be a little bit new, brother. Typically, forecasts are vary depending on which one you're looking at. So it all has to do with bank expectations. So some banks might have it at 215, some might have it at 216, some might have it at 217. None of them are right or wrong or arguable, really. They're all just have to do with bank expectations. It's very similar to like EPS expectations and stuff like that. Banks are going to have different expectations, and none of them are right or wrong. You just look at the general one, whichever one you want to look at. They're all virtually the same. They might be like a penny difference. But yeah, all good. All right, guys. Hey, we got 3.5 minutes here. 3.5 minutes until jobless claims numbers come out. 3.5 minutes. We'll see what happens. We got about 1,200 people here live. Didn't Vizio just get bought out, Tyler? Are we looking at gold? We can. I'm going to look at gold. I think gold's a relevant thing to look at as well. We got Nvidia on the left. I'm going to put gold up. Gold futures on the right side here. Gold's been breaking down. It's at 2035s. Palantir up to 24s. All right, so let's look at the... I'm going to put the SPY in the middle. Gold on the right. The Q is at 434s. All right, guys, we got 2.5 minutes. Jobless claims, again, expected at 217, 216. Putting all this stuff up so we can see it. We had the Fed minutes report yesterday. Again, later on this evening, this afternoon, we've got S&P manufacturing, flash, and services PMI. All right, again, 216, 217 is what's expected. We got 2 minutes here. Remember, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. So you want to make sure your live button and the live button, the dot next to the live button is red. If it's red, it means you're fully caught up. If it's not, you might be delayed. You can also put it in fast forward mode, but hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. The poll says 64% think higher than expected for jobless claims. Out of over 1,000 votes, 36% say lower. The real question is, what does the market want? We got a minute and a half. A minute and a half, team. Well, it has to do with revenue and AI and earnings increases. It's not like they're just up 10x for no reason. Well, higher is bad if you want the economy if you want economic growth, which is not always what the Fed wants. Right now, the Fed's in a QT, quantitative tightening, hawkish period where they don't necessarily want economic growth, and the focus is on bringing inflation down. And so again, we still got 50 seconds left. This poll is a little bit early. We still got 45 seconds left or so. So hit the live button next to the play button. I'll cover it as soon as it drops. So again, I guess my point is, I don't think it's as binary as good or bad. I don't think it's as binary as low as good, high as bad. I think it could be the opposite. It could go either way, and straight up guess. I think the market still fears spending, and so I think that's what you want to pay attention to. But we'll see. Again, we'll see. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move as well, depending on how big the move is, I guess. All right, guys, we got 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Yeah, y'all be smart and be safe. 5 seconds here, team. 5 seconds. All right, guys, here we go. And here's the release right now. All right, jobless claims came in at 201,000, way lower than expected. Way lower than expected, guys. 201,000. It signals much more people working and much more people spending. So way lower than expected here, guys. So way lower than expected. And again, Canadian retail sales came in mixed. Regular came in higher. Core came in lower. But jobless claims came in at 201,000. Versus 216 to 217,000 expected. Again, lower than expected jobless claims. Again, you see how fast we cover this team. We cover it as soon as it drops immediately. Faster than everybody else. So again, if you haven't already subscribed, 201,000 is what jobless claims numbers came in at. The market's pretty flat on this report. Pretty flat so far. But here is the report right there. 201 versus, I saw some with 216, some with 217. This one had 218 expected. But yeah, 201 expected. Or is what came in versus expectations. So again, this signals more jobs, more spending. And so we'll see what the market does with this. So far it's reacted negatively, which would coincide with what I said, which is I think the market fears spending, and more spending is bad, and jobless claims and more people working signals more people spending right now. But again, sometimes the first move is the wrong move as well. Gold has certainly reacted negatively to this as well. Here's the SPY on the right side, again breaking down a little bit on this report. So we'll see how the market goes. Again, sometimes the first move is the wrong move, but so far we do have a negative reaction to more or to less jobless claims. Exactly what I said we would, which means again, less jobless claims means less people filing for unemployment, i.e. more people working and spending, which I think the market is going to see under the lens of negativity. Again, though, it doesn't always mean this. It could do anything. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move. And honestly, we're down slightly from this report. But yeah. Yeah, I was going to ban you for pushing the nobody special guy, but this is actually a big YouTuber, so I'll allow it. Alright, so again, market's moving back up a little bit. Again, sometimes the first move is the wrong move. And so again, we are moving back up. What this does signal, which is a really weird market, which is it signals economic growth, right? Conventionally, economic growth is good. I thought we might have a negative reaction to it because it means more spending, though. Gold has certainly reacted negatively to this, although the SPY is up a little bit now. The Q is up a little bit as well, but a very flat move so far in markets. We'll see what tech does. Tech's going to ultimately influence what happens with the Q and the SPY a lot. Numbers don't matter today. It's Nvidia day. Certainly plausible. Honestly, certainly plausible. Yeah, the reaction was weak. Again, sometimes you get a massive reaction, sometimes you get nothing, Burger, and that's all right. We cover all of it pretty regularly, so. Alright guys, gold starting to move up to 2030s here, so gold bouncing up as well. The NASDAQ 100 technically green, although it's a pretty slight move so far. Nothing crazy happened. Sorry, my dude. It's all good, Lisa. Again, the only people, like, okay, the people that I'm the most strict with are not people trying to help other people by pushing another channel. You know, it's typically people like what you see a lot of the time is you see struggling YouTubers that don't have any followers, get no views, right? You'll see them go to my channel and they'll go in the comment section and they'll be like, hey guys, I streamed the same thing this morning, ... And they're just trying to pull in viewers and users. That's different than a relatively well-known YouTube channel come and support my channel, or somebody saying, hey, you should watch this video by so-and-so. It just depends, right? It depends on who it is. If it's a very small YouTube channel and they're trying to pretend like there's somebody else pushing it, they'll be like, oh, have you guys seen, you know, Bill the Trader's channel? He's the greatest. And then you go to Bill the Trader and he's got no subscribers and no followers. And it's obviously Bill in the chat trying to act like he's somebody else just to shill his own content. That's who I'll usually ban. The reason I'm like that is because there's no bigger hater than a failed YouTuber, right? Somebody that wants to do what I'm doing right now that failed at it, they are the most critical, weirdest, obsessed haters I've ever seen, dude. And again, they got to move on with their life, but again, it's very odd. It's very weird. You see it a lot. So again, you can promote you can talk about other videos and stuff like that as long as it's like a well-known person. If it's somebody that's very small, I'm just going to assume that you're them and you'll get banned. Yeah, definitely. Bill's top 3 traders in the world right now. Wait, so you're okay with big YouTube channels supporting you, but you're not okay supporting little YouTube channels? That's not what it is at all. I'm not okay with little YouTube channels copying my content and trying to steal viewers. Okay, there's a difference. Again, the way you grow on YouTube is not to go to other big-time streamers' channels and try to take their views away from them. That's just not the way you grow, right? And there's less likelihood of that with big channels. Big channels don't need to steal my viewers, so it's different. You know, it's different. Tesla at 196. Let's see if it can continue going. Look at gold. Gold's pushing up to almost 2040s. Almost 2040s. Nvda up to 760s. Yeah, Bill's definitely top 3 ever in the world. Yeah, I'm going to cover PMI and home sales for sure. Bill the Trader says buy gold. Yeah, if you want to get big and yeah, it's just a scummy thing to do, bro. Like, again, you see it all the time. I go look at their channel and they're trying to stream Nvidia earnings and they're trying to stream exactly what I'm streaming. A lot of them are copying directly off of me because they're trying to grow. But yeah. And again, I'm not really against them. If they do self-promotion, they'll usually get banned. And very rarely are the big channels doing self-promotion. So it doesn't really have to do with, if a big channel came in here and said, hey everybody, I'm streaming the same thing right now, I'd ban them too, you know. So it just depends on what they say, I guess. Claims came in under. Yeah, it means claims came in under expected. It signaled more economic growth, more people working, more jobs. Again, it also signals more spending, and so an interesting look to next week is going to be on PCE data, personal consumption expenditure index data, and GDP data coming out next week. Yeah, I think Nvidia is canceling out a lot of the news. This is pretty slow. In terms of reactions, but we are getting a positive reaction in both the Q and the SPY here. Yeah, I feel you, Brownie. It's all good. What do you think about Rivian? I think Rivian is a tough one to predict. I think they have big backing. But I also think that a lot of these smaller EV companies are going to struggle. And again, the reason they're going to struggle, I say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. Don't get mad if I repeat myself, right? But take yourself outside of the stock market and imagine you had never traded any of these EV stocks before. And you wanted to buy an EV. What would you buy? If you said a Rivian, you are almost certainly lying to yourself, okay? If you said a Mullen, you are almost certainly lying. If you said a Polestar, you're almost certainly lying. If you said any up-and-coming EV brand that you've never heard of outside of the stock market, you are lying, okay? That is the problem in terms of these up-and-coming EV brands. They simply don't have the customer base they need to succeed right now. And the question mark there is whether they ever will. I don't know. I think Rivian's positioned better than most. I'll say that. It's much better than Mullen or Polestar or whatever, right? It's much better than most. Polestar is actually Volkswagen. That might actually be a little bit safer, but I digress. Back to this. Again, that's the issue with them, is that they don't have the customer base they need to succeed. Not enough people want to buy them over the legacy automobile companies like that are also building EVs or Tesla, for lack of a better word. But again, I think Rivian is a little bit safer than the rest, except for Tesla. I think Rivian's like the number 2 or 3 EV brand. So I see Rivians driving around my area as well. The trucks are pretty cool. They're actually really quick. And so I'm torn on Rivian. I understand there's vulnerabilities and risks long term in it, but I also think it has a chance. It's got a shot. Big risk, big reward, I guess. Or no, is Polestar Volvo or Volkswagen? Maybe it's Volvo. Okay, yeah, it might be Volvo. Neo for the win. Neo is not that bad either, but it's an overseas brand, and so they might succeed. I think they've got a good shot too. Yeah, those are cool, those Porsches. And if you haven't already, guys, check out Top Step. If you want to day trade, we're going to be day trading on Top Step X today. So we are going to be day trading on Top Step X today. We do have access to Top Step X. We are going to be day trading on them today. And in the futures market, there's no PDT rule. You can day trade. Again, I can essentially day trade the SPY. You see the SPY here? I can basically do this in futures and there's no PDT rule. Here's the E-mini. You'll notice it's the same exact price action as the SPY, except there's no PDT rule. I can day trade, buy market, sell market, all this good stuff. In futures, no PDT restrictions. That is a huge benefit of Top Step, is that they give you a demo and they test your skill. And if you pass the test, great. They'll fund you between 50 to 150K with a 90% split. If you don't pass the test, which is going to be most day traders who lose, most day traders lose money. Again, when I first got started, I lost thousands of dollars, and every trader thinks they're going to be some outlier, savant trader prodigy. They almost never are, okay? You're almost certainly going to lose your first few accounts if you put the money up yourself. And so it makes no sense to put thousands of dollars up yourself in markets and almost certainly lose it, right? Instead, try a funded account program like Top Step. They give you a demo. The base one's 50K. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K in profit without losing 2K, and again, that's a 2 to 3 reasonable ratio, and as long as you're following the rest of their rules and conditions, they fund you between $50,000 for the base one, that's $50, up to 150K with a 90% split. You know, the 150K one is 150 bucks, 90% split once you're funded. So once you're funded, you're keeping most of your money anyway. Similar to putting the money up yourself, there's just noticeably less risk. And stick around. We're going to be day trading on Top Step X today. They are a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in their favor. And remember, I am terrible at this stuff and have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, understand rule CFTC rule 4.41. We are going to be trading on some combine accounts. We're also funded in 2 accounts as well, though, so it varies. But understand this rule. Not an investment professional. And but if you want to check it out and help support your boy here in this channel, there's the link. PMI data comes out at 9:45 Eastern. Jobless claims is not what the Fed wants to see for cuts. What the Fed wants, Henry, is probably lower PCE inflation data versus expectations and as well as last time. So PCE drops next week. All right, so PCE drops next week. What the Fed wants is the Fed wants lower PCE inflation. Is that what that's what they want? So that drops Thursday of next week. Expectations for PCE is I don't see an expectation yet. So last time PCE data came in at core PCE is the big one. Last time it came in at 0.2%. 2.9% on the year. That drops next Thursday, a week from today. 0.2% is what's expected, 2.9% on the year. They want to see core PCE data come in lower than 2.9% is what they want on the year. Again, 2% is their goal over time. And so the Fed's preferred inflation metric is PCE, and that'll be an interesting look. That'll be an interesting test of all this stuff, and we'll see. Well, you're trading index funds, or you can also trade gold in futures. You can trade index funds in futures. You can trade cattle prices, silver, gold, whatever you want. Like, and the patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks. And so I think there's benefits there. And KLA earnings are coming out. Let's see what happens. Are they the one that rolled the truck down the hill? Right? Honestly, who's going to invest in this company, though, brother? Who's going to invest in this company? In KLA, dude, I've been around long enough to remember the fraud, the big fraud gate, truck gate, hill gate, whatever you want to call it. I was there. I remember it happening. I wasn't physically there, but I remember it happening, and I remember NKLA was actually a pretty successful stock prior to the Hillgate controversy, and so yeah, I think the previous CEO actually went to jail. NKLA now 71 cents a share. SPY still pushing up. Nvidia still at 755s here, guys. 755s. I was the truck. All right. The truck was me. Chat. Now, PMI comes out at 9:45 Eastern. It is now 8:45 Eastern. So PMI comes out in about an hour. Palantir down to 24s. Nvidia at 755. Still technically very green on the day. Yeah, NKLA certainly has an uphill battle for sure. Yeah, NKLA one of the worst ever in the market for sure. Also, guys, help me get up to 128,000 subscribers. We only need 210 subs to hit that. We got 1,000 here. Do it now. You know you want to. SPY is still looking pretty strong. We'll probably start day trading this as well. Let me see if I can pull up Top Step X. I'm not really a big DOM trader, but I see they added that, which is nice. So we gotta... I don't really need the time and sales either, personally. Is there a way to take this out? Maximize. Where's my trading window, though? What did I do? I think I exited out of the trading window accidentally. Oops. Add components, chart trades, orders. Oh, that's nice. Ooh, that's really nice. I like that. I like what they did here with Top Step. They basically made it so that they basically made it so it's drag and drop, which is really nice for Top Step X. All right, so we're gonna get ready here. Let me put this down. I'll put Top Step X up here. Again, we're still gonna watch Nvidia very closely, but we're also gonna be day trading in futures. We'll make this really small for now. We'll exit that out for now and add it back as we sit. Try to put that up there. Put the big 3 up here as well. Get the timer out the way. We'll put. I'm just gonna put Nvidia and also the S&P. Look at the SPY. SPY almost up to 504s. We should technically break lifetime highs. We should technically break lifetime highs at the open here, I think. I would never recommend penny stocks. Yeah, I mean, penny stocks are just sketchy, and I think they're what. I can only go by my own personal experience, right? Which is essentially, I got started trading. I went and saw the movie The Big Short, got inspired to learn day trading, came home and Googled day trading, and penny stock gurus showed up trying to sell me financial freedom. And I bought it for a little while. I thought I was going to be a penny stock trading savant. Okay, I thought I was just going to be the penny stock guru of gurus. Instead, I lost about 4K in a couple weeks. And again, $4,000, a ton of money to me at the time. Ton of money to me at the time. I'm not saying it's not a lot now, but it was way more buying power for me at the time. Lost it all in a couple weeks. Almost cried. Carol was there. She told me not to do it. I should have. I say I shouldn't have listened, but if I wouldn't have listened, I would have never be. I'd never be where I am now. And I think it all worked out for the best. I think in general. Now we're one of the top 3 worst traders on the internet, and we're living life. I was all of them. Financial freedom, guys. Should have followed Bill, 100%, dude. The GOAT. John, do you hold any stocks overnight? Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly an investor. I mean, we swing trade, we invest, we day trade futures, we day trade stocks. In my opinion, my best trades are long-term investments and swing trades. Swing trading and investing is certainly where my edge is the highest. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Don't copy me. No idea what I'm talking about. But I'm holding a bunch of stuff right now. I am up really nicely on the year as well. And so, yeah, we're up a lot. We made money last year as well. In stocks. In stocks. Futures I'll have to check. SOUN. Yeah, I've heard a lot of hype about SOUN. I don't know a ton about it though. But it's an AI stock when AI is going absolutely ridiculous. And so I think there is some. The problem is the risk, right? Like I think with small shares, maybe you can take a risk. Like maybe you could buy a position, and if it goes crazy with AI, great. But it's already up. Let's see, it's up from 150 to 150 to almost 350. So. It's up over 100% right now, and I just think there's a lot of risks, personally. So it's not really my style, but good luck. I hope you make money in it. I really do. I'm in SoFi as well. SoFi at 820s. Again, we do have manufacturing and services PMI data coming out at 9:45 today in about an hour. So be ready. There's not easy way. Yeah, trading's incredibly difficult. Again, I tell people this every day, and it's important that traders truly understand this. Most day traders will lose money. All right, this is not an arguable thing. It's not a controversial take. Most day traders lose. Like every good day trader understands this. Anybody that is experienced in day trading understands that most day traders lose money. I'm not even claiming to be a good day trader. One of the top 3 worst day traders in the world right now, but understand what you're getting into. Most day traders lose money. It's one of the reasons I push like funded account programs, is because it simply limits your risk. Like most day traders, I'm going to give you a very common story for day traders. They struggle financially, right? They're looking to diversify income. They start researching. They learn about the stock market. Somehow they learn about day trading, right? They start researching day trading and they get a bunch of day trading gurus pushing financial freedom. A lot of time they're in penny stocks, selling mentorship programs and courses. And again, the reality of it is, right? The truth of it is that if a day trader in penny stocks was actually that profitable, okay, they would show you their broker statement every single month. You know, because why not? If you're selling a course, what better credibility building thing is there besides showing your broker statement every single month? Because you could sell courses like hotcakes if you did that. They would fly off the shelf. You know, everybody would want to buy your course if you're showing them that you're really making that much money every month. You know why penny stock gurus don't show you their broker statements every month? Is because they might show you one broker statement a year. You know what that means? That's probably the 1 month they were profitable. And so they're hitting you with that. Look how profitable I am, And so there's a reason it's like that. There really is. There's a reason it's like that. Again, and I'm not saying there's a lot of talented day traders. I'm not hating on them at all. I understand and recognize that there's a lot of really talented day traders that actually know how to do it successfully. Okay. But you got to understand what you're getting into. Most day traders lose money. I've been saying the same thing for 5 years. Most day traders lose money. And so with that in mind, limit your risk in the beginning. Trade small. Don't put up thousands of dollars and just give it to the market. They call it market tuition because it's true. Traders lose in the beginning. You got to pay your market tuition is the very famous quote. Meaning you got to lose in the beginning because losing and that burning you feel from losing eventually translates to hopefully risk management in the future. But you got to lose in the beginning. You don't have to, but some of the biggest disasters in trading is when they get really lucky in the beginning. They trade large and they lose everything. And so it's really important to trade small in the beginning. And you can do that with funded account programs. And again, to be fair, I think most people are going to lose day trading regardless of what they do, a funded account program or whether they go to TOS or Thinkorswim or TD Ameritrade. Most day traders are going to lose, but you're going to lose on average, in my opinion at least, noticeably less on a funded account program than you are to put up thousands yourself. And so again, limit your risk. Again, they're a sponsor, of course, so I'm shamelessly plugging them, and I'm biased completely in their favor because they pay me money. And I'm always honest. I say the same thing every time with both of my sponsors. But again, genuinely useful for traders, limits their risk. Yeah, I'll tell you this, though. The traders that say that they're making 500% a year, that they're turning $1,000 into $100K in 2 months, 3 months trading, again, if a trader really had that type of system where they're making 1,000+% a year and they do it consistently with a large sample size, Bloomberg or any big hedge fund or fund in general would pay billions of dollars for that system. You know why you don't have a lot of billionaire traders selling their system secrets to Bloomberg? It's because they're not really doing that, man. And again, it's important to be honest. That's the reality of it. And again, a lot of people get mad because I'm attacking their dreams. Like, this is their dream. They think they're gonna get rich. They think they're about to be a trading savant. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people are struggling financially when they get involved with this stuff. The worst person that should be day trading is somebody struggling financially. The worst person that should ever day trade, because the likelihood that you're going to make money in the beginning is so low. You might eventually make money, but it generally takes years to be successful. And so if you're struggling financially, the worst thing you could ever do is day trade. A day trader is a luxury of people that are at least comfortable, because if you're not, you're going to be so emotional about your results, it's never going to work. I used to be struggling, switched to Geico. No, when, hold on. Guys, my calls for Nvidia expire March 15th. Did I get theta burned and IV crushed? Depends on when you bought it, I guess, Sammy. You got to give us more details. I'm not a big options guy, so I don't know. What is a daddy's voice? What is that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It depends, dude. I think it depends. I think you could be the most motivated ever, and you're still probably gonna lose in the beginning day trading. It's just it's part of the process. It's a rite of passage. You know, trading tuition's real, and so again, you can either pay that trading tuition in thousands of dollars by putting the money up yourself, or you could try a funded account program, and you know, if you lose, you still have some pressure. It still teaches you how to trade under pressure, but if you lose, it's $50, you know, $150. Y'all choose, but I know which one I'd go for if I could start over. Right, exactly. IMX, same exact thing, bro. It just limits your risk. People that don't like those are usually people who, you know, a lot of people are not the most mature in trading. I think a lot of people lose money, and it's very difficult to blame themselves, right? Especially like gamblers in nature, where if you're a gambler and you lose money, you're not trying to blame yourself. You're trying to blame whoever else you can. It's John at Beginner Trading's fault. It's my broker's fault. It's my platform's fault. In the end, if you took a bunch of dumb trades and traded way too large, that's your fault. It's nobody else's fault, you know. And I think once you start to be accountable towards yourself, that's when you're going to start getting better as a trader. If you're still in the process of blaming everybody and anybody, you know, it's just hard to grow that way, I think. Talking about the ones who trading money with parents' money. It's a generalization. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. Again, my dad used to call the cops on me if I wore his flip-flops. And so, I'm not saying he didn't help me out. He helped me out when I was young. But my dad hasn't paid a bill for me in decades. And I'd rather it that way. I'd rather do it myself. And I think you're going to have more, I agree in that you're going to have more motivation if you do it yourself. You know, necessity is the mother of invention is the very famous quote, and it's absolutely true. Like, it's something that we're seeing with like Bronny James and LeBron James, right? There was in basketball and really in athletics in general and pro sports, one thing that you'll see is that it's either the son of a superstar is usually average, right? Or sometimes the dad is average and the son is really good. But I guess the point is, like, it's really hard to be great at something when everything's given to you. You know, you have to have that sense of urgency, that pressure, I guess, if that makes sense. But I don't think it's a blanket statement. I think there's going to be some people who are still wildly successful on their own right outside of their parents. So I think it depends. But I think in general, yes. Typically, people that come from like a luxury background are less motivated, are less, they have less ambition, I guess is the easiest way to put it. You know, and I think a lot of people say, oh, I want to give my kids everything that I didn't have. And I don't necessarily think that's a good move. I think if you spoil your children, they'll have no value for money. You know, my dad, dude, he used to make me, look, I respected a lot as I got older because my dad wasn't cheap. He was just really careful with money. And so anything that I wanted, I had to work for it. I wore Walmart shoes. If I wanted any money at all, I had to cut the grass or do chores around the house. And, you know, I think when you compare something like that towards people who just give their kids an infinite amount of money and buy them whatever they want, I think you'll notice that the kids that get older, that were given whatever they want, they have less value of money, less ambition overall, usually. And I think, but again, it's not, there are outliers, but I think it's, in general, yes. And again, I'm not trying to diss my dad. Like, I can respect my dad as I got older a lot. Because it's hard to say no to your children. It really is. As a parent myself, it's hard to say no. But it's the right move most of the time. Well, I'm not saying there's not outliers. But again, it depends. Trading is really waiting. Yeah, there's a very famous quote. Money is not made in trading. Trading is made in waiting for trades. And that's 100% true. Nvidia up to 750s, testing that previous closing price, so dipping down a little bit. The SPY still green. We have 45 minutes or so. All right, so we had jobless claims come out. All right, guys. PMI data coming out today too. Let me title the stream for this. So we got services PMI, manufacturing PMI, see what this is called. All right, so yeah, we got, again, today we have S&P US Services PMI data and S&P Flash Manufacturing PMI data. So we got some stuff dropping today. All right, there we go. All right, 9:45 is when this data report comes out. Nvidia has no support in the horizon. I don't know. I think it's got the previous closing price and 750 psychological level that it's right around. Ambition is good, but what if all the doors are closed because you don't have the right connections? I think it depends. I think it depends on how you approach it. I think if you blame everything on the lack of connections and you just don't have any ambition to move forward, then, you know, it's your own fault. But I think if you, I don't think it's even for everybody, certainly. But I think that's life. Like, the world isn't fair in any way. It never has been. And so I think you can't use that as a crutch, and I think you have to still do your best to try to succeed regardless of that, It depends on if you let it enable you to not do anything, and I think I think you can make connections. You can make businesses. And I think anybody can start a business and do well regardless of connections. Not in every industry, of course, so you have to be selective and strategic with it. But again, it depends on the industry. A lot of businesses you can start without any connections and get started. Money talks. So I think Yeah, I think you just got to be smart and strategic. I got something in my eye. FOMO. US 30 just spiked hard. The US 30 is the Dow, right? I always get it mixed up. Yeah. Yeah, it just broke highs. 38.9 thousand roughly for the Dow. We got that previous closing price on Nvda, or no, this is the previous high of the day. Prior to today, this light blue line was the previous high, right? So I think that's a relevant support level. And so 750 also a pretty big level. We're currently breaking underneath it now. Now he's a very successful anesthesiologist, studied public and borrowed some money to get a flight. Yeah, for sure. There's always a way. You just can't let it. You can't let it stop you from doing stuff. You know, and again, regardless of anything, some people are gonna fail. Again, that really is life. It takes some luck to do it. But again, I think capitalism is. I think it's hard to argue against. I think you're gonna have to corrupt. You're gonna have corruption no matter what, right? Socialism, you're gonna have corruption too. But at least in capitalism, the people that have the power had to earn it most of the time, versus other forms. It's not necessarily like that, and it causes them to be like, if you worked really hard for something and got it, you're going to be a lot more. You're going to do a lot more to protect that, and to protect the industry and to protect the business, and that raises the standard of living for people around you. And the U.S. has a very good standard of living, of course, relative to the rest of the world. Not everybody, of course. There's other places that have higher, but in terms of the standard, yes. And so I think it depends on how you look at it. I think anybody that trades stocks and claims not to be a capitalist is silly, I think. But I think there's also flaws and there's also corruption, and so it's nuanced. Anyways, Nvidia pulling back. We're almost at 745s right now, 745s. Again, still up massively, and this still should be a lifetime high break unless we break under 746. So really, we're right around the lifetime high, heading towards the open in 17 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting market. We also have PMI data coming out in about 30 minutes or so. Yeah, for sure, Jason. And I think people fail, and they see other people who didn't fail, and that causes like resentment. And so they say, hey, everybody should have everything even. But no matter what, it's not going to be like that. It's a good ideology. Like, I like the ideology. Yeah, everybody should have everything even. Like, sure. But it's not about what the ideology is. It's about whether it's accomplishable. And I think that is the question mark there. And I think history has shown that it's not really, and that corruption is going to be much more profound in other forms versus what we have. And so I think you got to look at it objectively. And I think it's a pleasant thought, like, yeah, everything should be even, and you know, we should have but I just don't think it's feasible. I think again, I think if you look at like a small commune as an example, right, that might work up to a certain amount of people. But when you get too many people, when it starts to grow, when it scales, it doesn't work. It breaks. And I think that's something that you've seen over and over and over again historically. And so I think, you just got to recognize how good we have it sometimes, I think. And I think it's hard for some people too. Even people that would be considered in poverty have it really well here versus, history as well as other places to a certain extent. Is PMI important? It's not super important. I mean, it's not as big as like Nvidia earnings or unemployment data or, stuff like that. It just depends, right? It's not as big as that type of stuff. And again, either way, regardless of what you believe, I respect it. I understand there's certainly pros and cons. And like, even, of course, in our current capitalistic, government, and form here. I understand there's certainly flaws and there's certainly corruption. So either way, I respect it and I understand, you know, people are on different sides. Palantir under 24s. We have had some dips heading into the open, but look at the bounce. So Nvidia bounced directly off of that previous lifetime high, right around 746. Bouncing directly off of it. It's back over 750s. And so we'll have 14 minutes until the market opens. We'll see if it actually holds. Dow Jones markets creating dips. I see articles that may report Dow's and it dips, and they talk about how great. Sometimes Christian. I mean, that happens a lot. Again, we saw back in like, if you zoom out back here, you know, you got to understand how, like, retail has to recognize when they're getting influenced. Okay, so like an example of this is like back here, after we had these major dips and the SPY was at 350s or 340s, everybody was saying the sky was going to fall. It's the end of the world, right? Banks were saying it's the end of the world. It was sketchy and all this different stuff. And so everybody was all bearish. Influencers were saying, yeah, the market's going to crash. Getting mad at me for being bullish at this period of time, right? This was last October. Or no, this was October of 2022, I think. Yeah. Anyways, for the following year, the market flew up 24% on the SPY, right? SPY went up 24%. Who do you think missed out on those moves? Retail traders did. Who do you think made money on those moves? Banks did, you know? And so I think retail has to recognize when they're getting influenced, and they have to understand that it's on both sides. It's not just, you know, one direction or the other. It's on both sides. Crashes are very difficult to predict. Ask Michael Burry. You know, he might have got the Big Short right in 2008, but he's missed about 20 of them since then. And so again, we'll see. I think the market could be extended now, but I hope it's not, and I hope it keeps going. Although I do think corrections are healthy. It just depends on how big of a correction they are. Yeah, I mean, I'm for people taxing more things. Like, billionaires can get taxed more. I'm okay with it. It just can't stifle innovation, and I think that's the question mark there. Where like, if you tax them too much, it's going to stifle innovation. I think that's a very obvious consequence of that. I'm for college to be free as well. I think the education has gotten so expensive, and relative to the rest of the world, it doesn't need to be. It can be free like everything else. And if my tax dollars are getting spent on anything, I'm okay with it getting spent on college and education. I think that's okay. And so it's not like I'm completely capitalist. Again, like most reasonable people, I'm somewhere in the middle. Tesla breaking down at 195s. So let's see if Tesla holds. I'm still in Tesla. I mean, I took a little bit of profit a couple weeks ago, but I'm still in most of the position, I would say. Yeah, I think also the standard has changed. You know, back in the day, everybody didn't go to college. You only went to college if you had very specific goals and very specific career paths. At this point in time, the standard is everybody goes to college, and I don't necessarily think that's the right move. I think that's why we're having such hard problems with jobs in this country, is that everybody's going to college. You know, they're getting degrees that are worthless, journalism or communications or business, and bachelor's in business to a certain extent. But that one's depending. It's not there's outliers there. But yeah, I'm torn on it. I think if you're doing STEM, go to college. You know, and like the only other question mark is maybe software development, just because I have bias as a software developer myself. A lot of software devs go to boot camps nowadays. So a lot of them don't go to college. You're going to get a better job that pays more if you go to college, though. So I'm not encouraging you not to go to college. But a lot of software developers go to a boot camp for 6 to 8 months, and then at the end of it, they're a certified programmer. They can get a job paying $50K plus a year as a software dev. And once you get in, you know, it's going to be a lot easier to grow, even though I would say the other side of that is that the standard for employment is getting raised consistently through this as well. But I also know a lot of people that went to college, graduated, spent a huge chunk of their life going to college, and now they can't find jobs. And so It depends. It depends. Anyways, we got 9 minutes left. 9 minutes. Yeah, trade jobs, welders, electricians, you know, good job security, high pay, you know. Yeah, I'm sorry it's cost so much. I mean, my daughter's 14, so. I would say I want her to go to LSU, but I don't. Look, I love Louisiana. It's my home state. But I'd rather her be close to me and close to us. A&M is arguably a better school. Don't tell my Louisiana friends that, though. But, again, being from Baton Rouge, look, I love my home city. I miss it to a certain extent. I miss my friends there for sure. But I don't know if I want my daughter living there, man. Owning a business is where it's at, certainly. Yeah, Chris, I'm gonna avoid that conversation. Typically, the answer is no. I don't believe in that. But yeah, it's super nuanced, and so I'm just gonna avoid that conversation. I mean, he's got a philosophy degree, though. I mean, what's he going to be with a philosophy degree? You know? Like, I mean, I guess a degree is better than no degree, but I mean, again, I think a philosophy degree might actually hurt you more than just not having a degree. Because they're going to say, this dude went to college for 3 or 4 years for philosophy? You know? Like, I get it being into philosophy. Like, I'm into poker. I'm not going to go get a poker degree, you know? And so I think you have to be selective. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't doing nowadays. Nvidia dipping down again, bouncing right around that same level we talked about, that previous lifetime high, right around 746. 746 is the previous lifetime high. And you can see we've bounced directly off of that level twice now. Still holding right around 750, which is another pretty big milestone level. It depends on the degree, Kay. Medical degree, law degree. Those are degrees that can pay back your student loans faster. Business degree, I'm neutral there. I think it depends. If you get an MBA, sure. If you don't get an MBA, probably not. But there's outliers. Yeah, I mean, if you get your master's, it doesn't matter, Michael. You know, I'm talking about people that get a bachelor's in philosophy and stop. All right, again, Nvidia over 750s here, over 750s. Hey, go Tigers, yes sir. Why is the euro US dollar going down? I don't know. Seems to move inversely to the dollar, and so the dollar's ripping up. Is I guess the only explanation I have there. Do you trade the Dow? Sometimes. I trade a mix of the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the E-mini. The S&P, essentially the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow is what I typically trade. That's what I'm going to trade here. Right now I got the S&P up, but I'll probably pivot to the Dow if I can build up some cushion on the day. We just kind of got to wait a little bit. We got 5 minutes until the market opens. All right, Nvidia back up to almost 755s. All right, so again, we're at about 50-60 on the E-mini. There's Nvidia shooting up though. Nice little green candle. So we bounced off of that previous lifetime high about 3 times. All right, so we're trading on Top Step X today as well. We got the manufacturing and services PMI coming out also. Nvidia is still surging up big. Again, we're gonna put our trading window up. Squeeze it over here. We got the Nasdaq actually up. This is the E-mini. I'm probably gonna put the Nasdaq up instead. I'll put the micro Nasdaq up in the beginning, just to kind of try to get some orders out there. Where's the micro Nasdaq? Micro S&P. Okay, there it is. All right, so yeah, we got the micro Nasdaq up. We're gonna get ready. Nasdaq currently at about 17.87s. Nvidia still pushing up. It's at 755s right now. 755s. You guys ready? All right, you guys ready? All right, we got less than a minute here, team. Less than a minute. Y'all be safe. Let's see if we can make some money today. All right, so we got a little bounce up in the Nasdaq here. Here's the opening bell in about 20 seconds here, team. 20 seconds. And again, there's Nvidia at 755s. You got the SPY bouncing. It's at 503s. All right, so there's the opening bell. Look at the Nasdaq shoot up here. Big green action. Let's watch Nvidia. Nvidia is going to be very relevant to all this stuff. The Nasdaq testing highs of the day. So the SPY did technically break lifetime highs at the open. It got up to 504s. Nvidia did as well. Nvidia got up to over 750. 755 is the new lifetime high, it looks like. Almost exactly 755. Palantir shooting up at the opening bell as well. We're looking at Tesla stock. Tesla stock is down to 193s, 190. Almost 192s at the opening bell. The Nasdaq though is looking pretty strong up here. pushing up. We're going to give the market a little time to settle. Nvidia with a doji candle at around 750 at the opening bell. The SPY actually cracking down, breaking lows. Not lows, but breaking lows of the last few hours or so, testing that 503.50 level. The Nasdaq might retrace back down, we'll see. But there goes Nvidia breaking under that previous lifetime high at about 745, 746 or so. Tesla is looking really weak, down to 192.80s. The dollar index is also shooting up a little bit, which typically moves inversely to equities. So yeah, that's what we got so far at the opening bell this morning, team. Nvidia up to almost 755, 756. Palantir down to 23.50s. The dollar index almost up to 104. So I am seeing weakness in this market. We'll short the market here too, if it starts to look weak. But there's Nvidia holding right at that previous level. Will Nvidia break highs of the day of market hours up to 756 right now for Nvidia? We might pivot to a more bullish stance, I guess here. Let's wait. Yeah, we'll have some fun with it. We'll take 2 contracts of the micro here, just small. See if we get some rip ups. Just try to ride Nvidia breaking highs up here. Just kind of playing around, getting used to Top Step X, which is what we're on right now on Top Step. Down 20 bucks. All right, so now we're green. Up about 23. We'll give it some time. Nvidia just broke highs of the day. Still up there, still ripping up. I might buy some more.
Order filled.
Yeah, we're in 3 contracts. We need a surge. Nvidia's still up.
Order filled.
We're gonna add some more here, I think. Let's see if the Nasdaq follows it up. Ooh, Nvidia with a big rejection though. It's a pretty small trade, especially on a 150K combine. We're down 50 to 70, $80 now. I'm trying to give it time, but I will cut this if we need to. I want to see if Nvidia retraces and heads back up and drags the market up, but we'll give it one more second, but we're probably about to cut this. Yeah,
order filled.
I'm out. Nvidia just ended up cracking under the 200 EMA VWAP level. We are seeing Tesla dip all the way down to 192s, so we'll wait and see if we get some better price action. I don't know why Tesla opened the market so weak. And yeah, these are small trades, guys. I'm kind of getting used to Top Step X, which is what I'm on today. It's a new platform for me, so we're on a 150K combine account. You can see it on the top right, or top left. Watch Nvidia though. Nvidia has the chance to influence the market drastically now. I'm going to take one share short. One share short. See if Nvidia rejects and we get some better action. I'll take 2 now, but just kind of playing around on the new platform, getting used to it. I might turn off that ordered filled notification.
Order filled.
All right, so we got out half, writing the rest down. We could probably let this be a little bit longer term trade. I got to figure out how to turn this order filled notification off though. canvas. All right, so we're flat on this trade now after it pushing back up. I might cut this as
Order
well.
filled.
Kind of a flat trade. Nvidia's starting to push up, testing highs, and I don't want to be shorting the market then. You know, even with this breakdown, the market's kind of unpredictable right now. Nvidia's breaking highs. The market's around lows of market hours. So kind of a sideways sentiment for me. Yeah, Nvidia's up there breaking highs at 760. That's why I'm not shorting anymore. I got to figure out how to change this order filled notification thing. Yeah, we're down like 100 and something on the day. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how much we're down total. We'll have to figure it out. Anybody know how to turn the sound off with this? Chart settings. Nvidia's still testing the top of that range. If I sell right now, how long does it take to receive the money? It really depends. I wonder if this is what I need to mess with. There's got to be a way to turn off that noise. Tesla bouncing back. So we're seeing some bullish signs, but again, I'm going to slow down and wait. Let me mess with this a little bit, guys. I'm trying to figure out how to turn the sound off. Oh, there it is. Settings. There's got to be a way to change the sound, no? All right, SPY up to almost 503s. Nvidia now dipping down, kind of a sideways market, so y'all just be careful right now. So here's trading. Go to application settings. Where? I'm at the application settings. I don't see how to turn it off. Hey. In what way? Try restarting it. Alright, I guess we're just gonna trade and we'll figure out the other part of it later. I don't want to miss too much in the market right now. You're on stream right now. Oh, it's alright.
It says SOS instead of saying 5G with my bars.
I'm gonna look this up.
So like an outage or something? Well, yes.
Having trouble connecting your mobile carriers network. It's in SOS mode. Check your data. Make sure your data's not turned off. Alright, look at Nvidia breaking highs, guys. Nvidia at 765s. This might drag the market back up. Very flat market, though. We're trading micro contracts today because I just don't trust it. So we're just kind of playing around with micros, seeing if we can
Order filled.
scalp some bull moves here, but...
Order filled.
Alright, we got out half. I like the fills on Top Step X a lot.
Order filled.
Alright, so we're out. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes before manufacturing data. Hey, I got economic data, baby. I'm not sure what's going on with your phone. Oh wait, somebody said AT&T has nationwide outages right now. Let me look at AT&T stock. Yeah, AT&T's down on the outage. Let me see. Yes, AT&T's down this morning. So that's all this is.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Starting to worry a little bit.
Yeah, so AT&T's down. That's all it
Okay,
is.
wow.
All of them at AT&T. I'm not gonna say what phone carrier I have, but I think I'm pretty good right now. Let me try calling you, Carol. All right, guys. Hey, we got 4 minutes, 3 minutes really until manufacturing PMI data. I don't know how much this is gonna move markets.
See?
Yeah, but that's just you. Let me call somebody else. Let me call my dad. Yeah, so my phone's working still, which is good. Again, the dollar index up to 104s right now, so the market is very weird. I appreciate the chat though. Y'all help me out.
I'm supposed to go bring this back.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. We got a minute and a half until manufacturing PMI data. Very flat day. Okay, so even Cam's saying there's an outage. Interesting. So there's a big phone outage today, I guess. All right, so here we go. Manufacturing PMI data about a minute and a half. Nvidia's still holding up there. Yeah, it's over 760s. New lifetime high for Nvidia is like 767, 766. Palantir bouncing back a little bit. AT&T trying to bounce back too. Let me pull the SPY up. Let me pull Tesla up. 193.20s. 193.20. Okay, gotcha, Daphne. We'll try that for sure. All right, guys. Hey, here we go. Manufacturing data about to drop. Expectations are 50.5 for manufacturing and 52.4 for services. Higher is more strength in that sector. Services 52.4. Manufacturing is 50. So higher is more strength. Lower is more weakness in those sectors. Let's get ready here, guys. We got 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We'll see what this one shows up as. All right, here we go. We'll see how much it affects market as well. Here's the SPY on the bottom. There's Nvidia testing highs of the day right now. All right, here we go. And here's the report. All right, manufacturing PMI higher than expected. Services PMI lower than expected. Manufacturing was slightly stronger than expected at 51.5 versus 50.5 expected. Services came in at 51.3 versus 52.4. So services lower than expected. Manufacturing higher than expected. So more strength in manufacturing. Again, maybe the market's back to business is good. Economic growth is good. Look at the SPY rip up on this report. SPY just broke lifetime highs as well, up to 504.20s on the SPY, 504.20s. So this is good for equities. The dollar index on this report is dropping pretty fast now as well. The Nvda is up. Nvidia is testing 770s right now. So this report certainly helped markets. Big rip up on manufacturing data. We'll put this number up on screen. Again, manufacturing was stronger than expected. Flash PMI came in at 51.4. Or 51.5, I mean, for S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. So we'll put it up on screen. Look at this huge rip. Nvidia breaking highs as well, up to 770s right now. Look at the SPY. SPY just broke pre-market highs, I think. No, not quite pre-market highs. SPY's getting close at 504.49. SPY's at 504.30s. So we got 20 cents away from the SPY for breaking lifetime pre-market highs as well. So the Nasdaq is flying up. I'm going to put a 1-minute chart up if I can. Very strong here for the Nasdaq. I would buy this up, but it's so high up there. Palantir rebounding all the way back up. AI stock's starting to catch some legs again.
Order filled.
All right, we're going to slowly add to this
Order
position
filled.
and try to scale
Order
in
filled.
with 2 or 3 contracts, maybe 4.
Order filled.
All right, so that'll be 4. No. Get this out of the way. Yeah, sheesh. All right, so slightly flat. Let's see if we get a ramp.
Order filled.
Took out half there.
Order filled.
Got out another half.
Order filled.
All right, so we're out the rest. So we probably made 50, 60 bucks just now. We're probably not that. We're probably pretty flat on this account. I'm trying to get used to trading here. So here's my P&L on the day. So we just made a good little bit there from that trade. I'm trying to see what my account is. Where is... Okay, so I'm down like $100 or so after commissions. Nice rip back up. Look at Nvidia, almost up to 775s right now. 775s. Yeah, that's pretty useful, V. All right, so breaking highs. Nasdaq's breaking highs as well, I believe. What's the lifetime highs on the Nasdaq? I think it's like 18.1 though, so I think the Nasdaq's still a little ways. The SPY breaking highs as well. This is a bubble, maybe. They've been saying that every day though. They've been saying that really every day. We got a bunch of Fed speakers today. We have Lisa Cook, Philly Fed President Patrick Harker, Fed Vice Chair Philip Jefferson. So to understand what these mean, like Fed speakers, right? So the central bank, their job, the representatives of the central bank are are banks across the country in different areas, is what I'll say. And so some of them have voting rights and some don't. And that's why you'll see like the Atlanta Fed President Bostic, Philly Fed President Patrick Harker, Governor Lisa Cook, Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari, Fed Governor Christopher Waller. And that's why you'll see all these different members of the Fed from all different states and stuff like that. Whoa, look at the SPY, guys. Wow, SPY up to 505. Lifetime highs just broke. Lifetime highs just broke. Crazy bullish run right now, which is honestly shocking. It's shocking, to be honest. I see the settings. Suppress visual alerts. I want to suppress sound alerts. Oh, here it is. Sound notification. I got you. Okay. Got it. Cool. Let me go back to trading. All right. So thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Crazy gains though. Look at Nvidia just broke lifetime highs again. 778. 778 lifetime highs. That's crazy. What?
I need to call someone.
All right. Again, we got a decent little pullback. I guess I'm gonna buy this up. I mean, I don't know what else to do besides buy these pullback dips. We'll start taking some size, I guess, into this. And again, I don't mind losing a little bit on this. We're just playing around today, trying to get used to the trying to get used to Top Step X. All right, so we're in 5 contracts of the micro, so pretty small. We actually can add more than 5. I'll take maybe 8. We're trying much larger size than micros. I'm trying to get used to trading them. Again, this is a 150K combine account though, so we have some room. We have much more room than our normal account. We're up nicely in equities as well. I'm gonna start cutting out of this, I think. It's not the end of the world. Like, we're in 4 contracts here. But we're just dipping down. So we're down like 300 on the day, I would say, which my daily max loss here is 3,000. So, is Boeing moving? I'm in Boeing right now. Let me see. I'm going to focus on stocks for a second. Tesla's still down. Big drop down. Very volatile day. Oh, Boeing is moving. Hey, you love to see it. I'm in Boeing right now. What's the other one I'm in? I'm in Alibaba as well. How's that one doing? That's probably why we're green in equities today. Baba's super volatile. Went all the way up to 76.40s. You good? Your phone working?
No.
Oh, somebody said to click the green service button and turn it
trying
off.
to restart it.
Well, somebody said click the green service button and then turn it off and back on, and that it could give you a new tower that might work.
Green service button.
I don't know. They said, let me see. Let's see. Scroll down. It says you have service.
No, it says SOS.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is only because I'm connected to the internet.
Oh, all right. So yeah. Where is the green service button? Somebody help. Hold on.
Don't mess with the settings too.
I'm not. I'm just turning off automatic network selection and then turning it back on to see if that helps. Pull down the screen. I mean, I did, but I didn't see a green service button.
How are these headphones that I got you?
Oh, those are not the ones you got me. The ones you got me in the room charging. I forgot to grab them yesterday.
Are they good?
No, I like them a lot. Yeah, they're really comfortable.
Did you try the thing where you hold your hand like this?
Yeah, I did. It's super weird, but it's really cool. Thank you for the headphones.
That was his birthday present.
Yeah, she got me that for my birthday. All right, guys. So again, market's starting to bounce up a little bit. We've gotten kind of chopped out of trading. Wait, what does it say? Okay, here. It's next to airplane mode, she says.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is right there. Turn it off.
Turn it off.
And then sometimes back on. You have to turn on the network selection thing that I just messed with, though, first.
What did you mess with?
Network selection.
Oh, no.
Okay, okay, it's still on. Alright, good. Now try that thing. Yeah, off. Oh, just cellular data on and off is what she's saying. Okay. Back on. See if it works. No. Yeah, I don't know. AT&T network is down.
Yeah, I think it's the network.
What's the reason for this? What's the reason the network's down? Is there any reason behind that?
I'm pretty sure I already have an eSIM as well.
I'm always kind of sketched out about it, too, because, like, freaking asteroid or something taking out the SIM towers. You know?
Yeah, took all of them out.
I've seen too many sci-fi movies, bro. I've seen too many sci-fi movies. You know?
Yeah.
Listen, I grew up when 2012 happened. Everybody thought the world was going to end in 2012. I grew up in Y2K as well. Everybody thought the computers were going to go crazy in 2000 as well. I remember that as well. But 2012 was actually like a thing based off of the Mayan calendar. I've seen too many sci-fi movies.
What about the theory that there was like a time warp and really we have our dates wrong or something?
Oh no, there's a theory that one of the generations or one of the centuries, or maybe it wasn't the century. Yeah, one of the centuries, or maybe it was one of the millennia. There's a theory that it didn't actually happen and that we just completely skipped it. I think one of the theories was based around us not having a lot of historical evidence of that. It was either a millennia or a century. I guess it was probably a century. You know, was it the Dark Ages? I'm trying to think of this at the top of my head. Yeah, we got home builders report in about 2 minutes. We'll see how that influences everything. Here, baby, the economic report is going to drop in about a minute. All right, guys. Skynet just became conscious. All right, guys. We got 1 minute and 20 seconds left. 1 minute and 20 seconds. How often do you do these? Every day, for the most part. The big ones are usually with economic reports. You know, but we stream daily. Nobody was scared of Y2K. You're just arguing here, just to argue. Existing home sales, 3.96 million. 3.96 million. We'll see what happens. He's not a puppy. He's a big old German Shepherd. He's sweet, though. He's less than 2 years old, so he's still puppy mode. But he gets super excited when anybody feeds him or anything, so that's what it is. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes or 5 seconds. 3.96 million for existing home sales. Here, no, baby. What are you doing, man?
Sorry.
Don't let him in here.
He stinks.
Okay, then why are you letting him run around the house?
Because I'm trying to get him outside. I need your phone one more time.
What are you doing? Put him outside. Don't leave him out there.
That's what I'm doing.
I love you, but come on now. Look, I missed the economic report. Carol, man, she never fails. 4 million is what existing home sales came in at. There's a reason I got on to Carol just now. Bruce peed all over himself overnight. And we have yet to bathe him. And so he's literally walking around with pee everywhere. And I'm going to have to go bathe him right when the stream ends. And so that's why I'm getting on to Carol, is because he's a walking... Yeah. Alright guys, 4 million for existing home sales. Market's starting to rip back up. We'll see if Nvidia breaks highs again. It certainly could. We'll see if it could. Yeah, y'all want to see Bruce? This is Bruce real quick. I'll show you guys Bruce, and then I probably got to run. Let me see. We got 2 dogs. We got Rosie and Bruce. This is Bruce at 7 months old. So this was Bruce at 7 months old. So that's Bruce at 7 months. That's puppy Bruce. He's big now. He's really big. But yeah, that's Bruce. You know, he's much bigger now as a full-grown dog. Almost full-grown. He's probably still growing a little bit though. Yeah, that's the idea, Bruce Wayne. But that's Bruce. We also have Rosie. Rosie's a German Shepherd as well. They're both German Shepherds. Yeah, that's a German Shepherd. And then Rosie is here. She's the girl. She's really sweet. I love Rosie. That's Rosie right there. Yeah, best dogs ever, dude. I love German Shepherds. They're just the coolest dogs ever. Our dogs are super spoiled. Rosie really is the queen. Bruce is super friendly. He's not friendly if he doesn't know you though. So I wouldn't recommend coming into my house if you don't know him without us. Rosie is actually kind of the alpha dog though. Rosie will push Bruce around. I think it has to do with Rosie was grown when we got Bruce as a puppy, and so she kind of, you know, got him in line a little bit. And even though he's much bigger than Rosie, she still pushes him around, you know. I trained them myself. They're pretty well trained. Like, look, here is... my dad was a falconer. So my dad raised and hunted with falcons. And so I learned how to condition animals from, like, a really young age. So I trained them myself. But yeah, here's Bruce. They love swimming in my pool, right? So like, look. Here's Bruce.
Ready? Ready, Bruce?
They love playing with football,
drop it.
really.
Drop it. There you go. All right, ready? Ready, Bruce?
Go get it. They love water, dude. They love water. So, that's Bruce. Rosie will steal it from him if she lets him. Yeah, so that's Bruce and Rosie. Great dogs, really great dogs. Yeah, they're super easy to train, honestly. I always teach my daughter, like, look, if you get a dog, it's gonna be pain in the butt and when they're puppies, right? That's the hardest point. But you never want to be lazy raising them as puppies. If you're lazy raising them as puppies, you got a lot worse problems as they get older, right? There's nothing worse than a full-grown, untrained dog, right? It's just such a stressful part of your life if you do that. And so it's important to put the work in when they're young, get them conditioned when they're young to do the right things, and they'll be great dogs, great family dogs, you know. And so it's important. Discipline, I guess, is the biggest thing. Yeah, definitely top 3 dogs in the world right now. Anyways, if y'all haven't already, again, we're going to get out of here, guys. Y'all check out Top Step. It's a funded account program. It is a sponsor of mine. We've been trading on Top Step X today. Again, if you want to day trade, do not put up thousands of dollars yourself trying to look cool in markets. You're probably going to lose your first few accounts in day trading. And so it makes 0 sense to put up thousands yourself. Instead, try a funded account program. Top Step's the most legit. They pay out millions in actual withdrawals every year. They fund thousands of traders a year. The patterns when you're day trading the futures market, at least the NASDAQ or the S&P, are going to move very similar to Nvidia. Again, if you look at here, I'll put the E-mini futures contract up right under Nvidia. Look how similar these charts look. But you can day trade this bottom chart. No PDT rule, instant settlement, all that good stuff. Very similar. This is very similar to this. I can day trade this bottom chart on Top Step, no PDT rule, instant settlement, all that good stuff. Great way to learn how to day trade. And again, to be fair, I think most day traders lose money. It's a lot cheaper to lose on Top Step than to put up money yourself elsewhere. Try it out. They are a sponsor of mine. And remember, I'm one of the top 3 worst traders in the world right now. And so don't sue me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. There's the link if you want to check out Top Step. Check it all with them first. And yeah, I appreciate it. Also, check out my other sponsor company called Chart Prime. Trading View service you can use in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. You can set alerts on Trading View, all that good stuff. I haven't even pulled it up today. Maybe I should. I was trying to learn Top Step X today, but let's check it out. You know, one of the cool things I do with Top Step X is I set alerts to show up on my phone. And so instead of having to sit around and waiting for alerts to show up staring at charts, I can literally have TradingView give me alerts on my phone. And so I can go hang out, watch TV. If I get a ding, ding, ding alert on my phone, I can run over, take the appropriate trade, and look at Chart Prime. Again, I can't fake what I'm showing you. Okay, I can't fake what I'm showing you. I'm biased, of course, because they pay me money as well as a sponsor of mine, just like Top Step. They're sponsors. They pay me money. I'm biased, all right? But to back test it yourself, I can't fake what I'm about to show you, all right? And again, test it all with them first. Can't guarantee you're going to make money. This one worked, I think. Sell signal worked here. Strong buy signal worked. Sell signal, you could maybe say this one was wrong. This strong buy signal certainly worked. Look at the strong signals. This one didn't work, all right? So let's see. That's 2 out of, that's 2 that didn't work so far. Let's keep going. Oops, let me see. Let's keep going. So that's 2 that didn't work out of all of these. Buy signal way back here. Strong sell signal worked. Strong buy signal worked. Strong sell signal worked. Strong buy signal worked. So let's tally this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 out of 11. Genuinely impressive, in my opinion. You can also check it out on like an hourly chart, on a longer term chart. If you want to take long-term trades or investments, you can look at Chart Prime to give you some information as well. Look at the buy signal showing up way back here. Beautiful rip back up. So again, this is hours ago. This is a 1 hour chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 hours ago, you got the buy signal. Beautiful rip up afterwards. Sell signal here as well. Look at the beautiful bounce. Strong buy signal as well. Look at that beautiful bounce. Again, genuinely impressive. If you want to check it out, there's the link. We will be back tomorrow. I don't think we have any big earnings today, right? But we will be back tomorrow bright and early. If you want to check out Chart Prime, here is that link as well. I appreciate the love so much. We got so many subs and growth over the last few days. So much subs and growth over the last few days. You know, it's been really fun. Market's kind of giving a bear flag as well, potentially here. Where are my subs at right now? My subs are currently... Yeah, we only need like 170 subs left to break 128,000 subs. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. I appreciate the love. So thanks so much. I appreciate the love. Appreciate the growth. Again, it really goes to show telling people you have no idea what you're talking about really is the key to growth. Y'all be safe. Have a great day. Y'all be good. Yeah, I'm going to go wash Bruce right now. I might throw him in the pool. But I might play with him and let him jump in the pool. Not throw him in the pool. I can't. Bruce wouldn't even let me throw it. I'm going to throw the ball in the pool and have him jump in the pool because it's still pretty warm here in Texas. And then I'll probably have to soap him down and bathe him. So it's all good. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be safe.